Hey, Undisputed listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com now. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. We've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Guys, how we doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Oh, watch the football team.
Today is the day. The Dallas Cowboys season starts today at Baltimore. As
sure?
We rip off 5 in a row. We keep pace with the Giants and Washington, and all of a sudden, great things are about to happen. This is it.
I could have sworn the season started 4 months ago in September.
It starts today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
With another L.
Yeah, today, I'm pretty sure it's December.
We got due on it?
Skip, are we?
Maybe.
Do we have due? Maybe later?
Maybe.
Okay, I'd like to get back to that. Actually, I'd like to also go back to October, because back then, Kyrie Irving said that playing with Kevin Durant will mark the first time he feels comfortable with a teammate taking a big clutch shot, seemingly taking a shot at LeBron James. And now LeBron admitted on a podcast that the comment, quote, kind of hurt me a little bit. LeBron also added that during his run with Kyrie in Cleveland, his main goal was to see Irving win MVP. And even though they won a title, he and Kyrie, quote, could never align. There's a lot there. Shannon, why did LeBron make such a big deal of this?
Well, I think the thing is that when any time you play with someone, it kind of stings you a little bit if you have respect for a player. And players, Skip, players value players' comments about themselves more so than, say, media or someone outside of the basketball community. So that's why when players or former players say things about present players, it bothers them, and a lot of times they will respond. And when you play with someone, yes, and people are like, well, that shouldn't bother him. It would bother me if John said one of his most clutch, John Elway, my quarterback, Skip, if he said, you know what, if someone else had played after me, man, this is the first time I've had a big play tight end, a guy that I can throw the ball to in tough situations, and I know he can make a catch. Skip,
but he didn't say
No, but that's what I'm saying. But I'm trying to give people an insight how things, when you value someone, you play with someone, and you think they're, I don't think LeBron and Kyrie were ever friends, but you think, okay, we're teammates, we're going for the same common goal, and that's to win a championship. But this also goes to show you how things get continuously repeated, and people take them as true. Now, Kyrie said this is the first time, but it's not true. LeBron James has more playoff buzzer beaters than any other player in NBA history. That is not conjecture. That is not innuendo. That is not speculation. That is factual. LeBron James, let me repeat this for the people at home.
I'm having trouble with that factual, but I'll get to that in a moment.
LeBron James has more playoff buzzer beaters than any other man that has dribbled a basketball in the NBA or the ABA. Okay, this is what we've done here, Skip. So I'm going to take the final 10 seconds on game tying or go-ahead shots in the final 10 seconds of a playoff game. LeBron James is 9 of 22. That's 41%. The guy that Kyrie spoke so glowingly of, Kevin Durant, is 2 of 13. That's 30%. Kyrie Irving talking about he finally got somebody that can make the same shot that he's made in game time or go-ahead shots in the final 10 seconds of a playoff game. Kyrie Irving has yet to take one and make one. You see how constantly repeating something, repetitions of a lie, does not make it true, no matter how many times you repeat said inaccuracy. Skip Bayless, look, even while they were playing, Skip, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving had 9 game-tying or go-ahead shots in the final minute. LeBron James had 14. So while he's heaping praise on someone that he's never played with, the guy that was sitting next to him was taking and making more big shots than Kyrie Irving. So it stung LeBron to hear that. And Skip, anytime a former teammate, especially if, and Kyrie ain't just any teammate, Skip, you know what I'm saying? Kyrie Irving is not the 11th guy, is not the 8th guy on a roster. Kyrie Irving was the second best player in Cleveland. So, yes, it stung LeBron, and I can imagine if someone were to say this, let's just say for the sake of argument, Skip, I'm trying to think, some player that played with Tom Brady goes somewhere else is like, man, this is the first time I had a quarterback that can get me the ball in positions, I can make plays, he give me an opportunity to run after the catch. That would bother Tom, especially if...
But that didn't happen.
Skip, go ahead, Skip.
Well, it just did.
I'm trying to tell people, see, what you want to do is try to say, well, LeBron James is sensitive. I'm telling you, if Stephen A. Smith has said something, if Shannon Sharp were to say something about Skip Bayless, you won't let on. You can put on this tough persona, but Skip, I know a different side of you.
But
so this notion, Skip.
They didn't. Right? He did say this. Aren't you a little surprised that he's still so stung by this?
Skip.
It's 2 months later and he just unloads?
Skip,
aren't you a little surprised?
No,
You're a little surprised.
I'm not surprised, Skip. This is Skip. He said this. He was on the podcast. So you would have preferred him to respond immediately? Unfortunately, in October, LeBron James was winning the title while Kyrie Irving had his butt rehabbing. There's the difference between the two. And even though at all the great big shots that he could take and make, he has yet to take and make big shots outside of Cleveland. So let's get this straight here, and then I'm going to let you have it. Before LeBron got back to Cleveland, Kyrie Irving was in the lottery every single year.
He was.
After Kyrie Irving left LeBron James, his teams played better once Kyrie Irving was injured and had moved on. That's fact. Look at what happened with the Brooklyn Nets once Kyrie Irving got hurt. Look at what happened with the Boston Celtics once Kyrie Irving left and was injured.
True.
That's fact.
And fact also that Kyrie made the shot that won LeBron a Game 7 and a championship and a 3-1 comeback against Golden State. Am I right?
So what happened? So let me ask you a question. If LeBron don't hit that shot in Cleveland against Chicago,
well, but this was Game 7 at Oracle.
We might not even get to a Game 7.
Who made it?
We might not get to a Game 7 if he doesn't hit that shot in Chicago.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, now it's just okay.
Well, I mean, that's just silliness, but whatever.
Why does it Skip? It was 1-1.
However you want to spin this.
Skip, it was 1-1.
Okay. All right. It is my turn. First of all, my first comment is LeBron needs to get his own podcast because he keeps dropping bombshells on Road Trippin' podcast, right?
He has the shot.
Okay. Well, but why does he keep going on with RJ and Allie Clifton and Channing Frye?
Yeah.
And it seems like every time he goes on, he's very calculated, obviously premeditated, and he wanted to express himself on this issue. And I'm sure they were prepared for him to unload on this on their podcast. And I'm like, why are you doing it on theirs? You should make your own podcast, right?
He has Uninterrupted. He has the shop.
Why wouldn't you save this for the shop then?
The shop is going to be a minute before he starts shooting that again, or he's already put that in the can.
Well,
but here's the thing. Like you said he's the most intriguing athlete going today. So
it's every day it's something with LeBron.
So
we actually had 2 other LeBron stories from yesterday from the media session he did, and we are not able to get to them today because this one just transcended.
Right.
And we need to really look at this one hard a couple of times so we don't have room for LeBron talking about his whole goal is to play with his son or against his son in the NBA.
Oh, we also missed that one. We talked about the Clippers were talking that you know what.
Okay.
But we'll get to that one sooner or later.
It's every day. It's something with the king.
He's LeBron.
He is the most interesting man, not just in sports, in the history of sports. There's never been anything like this man and it's not always premeditated. He just has a force field around him in which news just seems to ooze from his pores.
Correct.
It's something every day.
Correct.
Okay, so help me out here.
Okay.
This man just won a championship.
Yes.
This man, you say, is the GOAT, even beyond Michael Jeffrey Jordan in Chicago.
Yes.
And yet, here he is 2 months later, and this pushed the deepest button in him. this hit the deepest nerve in LeBron James because he is bearing his soul about this. He is unloading as we approach a new season. And it's 2 months after the fact. And he's going on and on about how even during the finals, it shook him up so much that he requested during the finals that somebody who works with or for him had to go get the transcript of this just so he wanted to read it.
He wanted to make sure that they didn't take snippets, you know what I'm saying, Skip? Because sometimes you just splice it and you just take this. So let me get the transcript so I could actually hear what was said, how it was said, and how the subject was broached. So now, Skip, I got everything. I can just look at it like, oh, you said, so you did say that. It wasn't cut and splice and...
Okay, all right. So he carefully went over this.
Yes, he did.
He digested it, and now he is regurgitating all of it.
Yes.
To what end? I don't know. What is the point? Because who cares what Kyrie Irving says? They're not teammates anymore, and Kyrie made it crystal clear when he walked out the door on LeBron in Cleveland, he did not want to play with LeBron anymore. So you gush on and on about how much you love this kid, and you wanted him, which is just baloney. He said, I always wanted to see him be the MVP of our league. Not when he was playing with LeBron did he want to see Kyrie be the MVP.
Skip,
I'm sorry. Stop it. I call BS
you
on that.
do know the last year, Kyrie took more shots than LeBron, right? Okay,
that's fine. But the point was, there's no way he wanted him to be the MVP or that he loved him like a little brother. I'm sorry, I don't buy it.
So you got a problem with LeBron bringing that up. But I noticed, you know what, Skip? You had no problem when Michael Jordan brought his high school coach and ridiculed him that you cut him. He brought the guy that made the team over him 25 years later. He brought him out there and embarrassed him. He brought
what does that have to do with this?
But my question is, why was he regurgitating it 25 years later? If you got a problem with 2 months, you damn sure should have a problem with 25 years.
Okay, but that was his Hall of Fame acceptance speech.
What difference does it make?
He wanted to call out everybody. That's completely apple to orange
No, it's not.
this.
No, it's not.
Stop it.
Why is
and
it?
by the way, it's my turn, I think. I think you spoke for 15 minutes. It is now my turn.
We
only
been on the show for like 9.
I'm just getting started here. So LeBron is so stung that he is just as profane as he has ever been. He is dropping F-bombs. He's dropping GDs. And I'm like, what?
Kind of like Tom Brady.
Yeah. Oh, stop it. Yeah. Oh, this is LeBron. At least Tom doesn't have an I Promise school. I feel sorry for
What does that have to do with it?
It has everything to do with it. You know it and I know it. Okay, so now let's get back to the guts of this. This has hit the deepest nerve in him because he knows he has had issues late game. And you can throw all those numbers you want at me, but I'm going to throw a whole bunch back at you, and it is my turn right now. Countless times late in games, LeBron James has run from the free throw line because he does not trust himself at the free throw line because, by the way, in free throw percentage, on potential game-tying or go-ahead free throws in the final 5 seconds, fourth quarter of overtime, LeBron in his career is 11 of 19 from the free throw line. That's 57.9%. That's the second worst all-time free throw percentage in those moments. And those 8 misses are the most misses since LeBron has been in the league. So he's got big issues at the late-game free throw line, which has completely messed up his psyche on how to close a game because countless times he has pulled up and taken threes that missed, deep threes where he's saying, what are you doing? You're the greatest driver of the basketball ever. Well, he's afraid because if he drives, they're going to foul him and they're going to send him to the free throw line. And he also will pass the ball so that you can defend him as an apologist for LeBron. See, he made the right play. No, he didn't. He's the best player in the game. He's the
Michael
GOAT.
Jordan ever passed in the last seconds?
Well, not like this guy.
No, did he? Yeah, it's a simple yes or no question.
Every once in a while.
Okay, thank you.
Twice that I know of. But, okay, let's just look, shall we, at some of the worst moments in LeBron's career, because let's look at the end of Game 6 of 2013. He had 2 turnovers, 2 unforced error turnovers in the last minute of the game against my Spurs. And then let's see what happened at the end. He takes the 3 to tie the game, and he missed it, and it's a long rebound, and now my horror show starts, and that's the worst thing that ever happened to me in my sports watching life. Then let's look at, shall we, Game 3 in 2017 at Cleveland. This is a turning point game of the finals. in LeBron's house, and with 53 seconds left, he's got Andre Iguodala on him. Just drive it. Just drive on him. Just drive. You had a step to the right, and he fades off to the left, and he picks Kyle Korver to shoot a shot that he's never shot in his life under those circumstances. You can't do that.
Skip.
And that opened the door for Kevin Durant to go down and make one right in LeBron's face, and it was about as clutch a shot as you can ever see.
Nobody has ever made a shot in that situation until they made a shot. That's why you take the shot. I mean, there are people up in Sing Sing that has never committed a crime until they committed a crime and landed them there. So Kyle Korver is one of the five or six greatest three-point shooters in the history of the game.
That was a basketball crime because LeBron has to take that shot. You got to get to the free throw line. By the way, you're actually up 2 in that moment. You could have iced it.
Yes.
You could have daggered it.
Yes, if Kyle Korver hits the shot.
No, if LeBron says, no, I'm the best player. Says Shannon Sharp, the GOAT. I'm going to get to the free throw line and make the 2 free throws.
But my thing is, if that's why we're going to judge superstars, Michael Jordan should have never passed that ball to Steve Kerr.
Okay, he called it in the.
See, there you go again.
Well, he did. You told him. He said, if Stockton comes to me, you're going to make this shot.
Stockton is 5'11". Shoot over the top of him.
Game 1 at Golden State, 2018. This is all time. This is unforgivable. LeBron James at this point. That he had scored 49 points. He had as hot a hand from distance, from outside the paint, as I have ever seen him have in a playoff game. And if we could see this, he gets the switch. He gets little Steph Curry on him. And LeBron's 6'9".
Look at KD. Look at KD. Draymond.
No, just take one dribble and go up and shoot the shot.
How many times have you seen LeBron do that in his career? How many times have you seen LeBron do that in his career?
You can shoot a free throw line jumper. Just one dribble to the right, and you throw it to George Hill.
Kyrie didn't say anything about LeBron's game. Okay. He's talking about shots in the final seconds, and you're going back and trying to rehash.
Well, that was
talk about who has more game-winning shots.
They were down 1. I'm going to get to those in just a second. They were down 1 at that point. You have to close that deal. Then how about just recent memory? How about Game 2 against Denver? They call in the huddle the play for LeBron James, and he lines up in the formation, and he's supposed to be picked for, and he freezes. The chosen one becomes the frozen one.
Who picked for him?
Nobody picked for him.
Then.
He just stood there. And Rajon Rondo said, I'm inbound the ball. I lock eyes with LeBron. He did not move.
Hold on, time out.
You know why? I got to tell you why he didn't move. He was 1 for 6 from the floor in the fourth quarter, 0 for 3 from 3, and 0 for 1 from the free throw line. He wanted no part of a last-second shot.
You just told the people at home someone was supposed to come pick for LeBron. And he didn't move. Well, where was the
he was supposed to just move off the people in front of him.
You said,
move to the basketball. He froze.
I thought it was
Rajon Rondo said, I locked eyes. He didn't move.
I thought he was going to set a pick. But you still haven't got to those game-winning shots.
Outrage. I'm going to get to him, but I got to finish off because.
But the show's going to be over.
How about Game 5 of the finals this year? LeBron drives it, and again, you're down 1 at this point. Just get to the free throw line and go win the game. Go. This is Mamba jersey game, and just get to it.
Hold on, wait a minute. Just a second. You just criticized the Lakers for losing to Danny Green because he makes big shots. He was on the NBA record for threes made in a finals game. And now LeBron James passes it to Danny Green, who you lauded, and now you criticize him to help make your argument?
I said it the day after. I tweeted it immediately. If you're the king, if you're the GOAT, you just take that shot and get fouled because you're going to get fouled and you've got 2 free throws and you're going to have to make them both to win, but you have to make one of them just to tie.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay? Oh, my goodness is right. That's what I said when I saw that. Okay, so he has, by my research here, 7 game-winning shots in 1,525 games. Think about that. 1,525 games. He's got 7. The first one, I watch every LeBron game. I was watching the night of January 23rd, way back in 2009. He hit it over Ronnie Turioff at Golden State. That was his first one. That was his 6th season. He'd already played 477 NBA games. And I kept saying, where's the clutch gene? Because I don't think he has a clutch gene. And he just couldn't pull off a late shot. That was 6 years in, and he finally made one in a regular season game at Golden State. And then here we went. He did hit the shot heard around the world in 2009. It was an inbounds pass from Mo Williams where he just had to turn at the buzzer and shoot it, and he made it. And that was great. I'll give you that one. He made a left-handed layup on George Paul at Indiana. We got to give him that one. And then there was the Kyrie mad shot because David Blatt calls the last shot for, right on schedule, Kyrie. And LeBron says, how dare you? I want the last shot. Okay, give him the ball. And he shot a mad shot from the corner, and he made it.
It's always something. He wasn't thinking about it. He was mad. Did the ball go in? That's all I care about. I don't care if he was happy or the piece.
He made one really good one over Jimmy Butler in a regular season game against Minnesota, and the game was tied. And that was good. And then against the Pacers in the playoffs, he made another one where the Pacers were all at the other end because Oladipo had been goaltended, and they're all looking at the ref, and LeBron just dribbles up the other floor, and pulls up and made
LeBron blocked it.
Okay, well, it was a goaltend.
No, it was
not.
And
it was outrageous. It changed the game.
Hold on. But what did the last-minute report say? The ball had gone off in Indiana the time before that, so they should have got the ball to begin with.
But the later omission was that one.
No, that happened. It was good. That's what you get. You cheated us, so we got you back.
All right, and then Toronto again, Anunoby. Ty Lue just doesn't call timeout so LeBron can get a head start.
Yes.
Go all the way full court, left-handed, and he gets too far past it.
No,
he accidentally banks it in. I will go to my grave saying he accidentally banked it. You can't bank it from dead sideways. I don't know how you did it. I could shoot 100 of those shots, and it's just hard to take the backboard.
How many times have we seen Tim Duncan from those awkward angles bank the ball in?
He's the greatest backboard shooter I've ever seen.
Okay,
but that's what he did.
That's what my guy does, too.
I'm sorry. So in 1,525 games, LeBron James has made this percent of last-second shots, 0.005% of the games ended with him making the last-second shot.
Skip. So let me ask you a question. If they're up by 30, is there an opportunity for a game-ending shot? See, that's a flawed argument. You list all the games the man has played in.
Argument.
Yes, Skip, you can't list all the games that he's played in, and the scenario does not present itself for a last-second shot. That's a flawed argument.
So can you imagine Michael Jordan taking anything this seriously and personally and brooding and stewing about it?
Skip, he brought the guy that beat him out for the varsity spot 25 years prior. He brought him out at his Hall of Fame on national television and embarrassed him. He talked about his coach. He embarrassed him, talking about, you made a mistake by cutting me.
That's all out of anger. This is out of hurt.
Oh, my God.
He is hurt.
Skip.
He is still bleeding from this.
Time out. If I'm not mistaken, Michael Jordan wanted to quit the basketball team because he didn't make it. And his mama said, you're going to go out for it next year. So was he not hurt?
I'm glad you brought up Jordan, because now Scottie Pippen is saying, I was so hurt by the last dance. It was so unfair to me. I told Michael off. Do you think Michael cares? No, he doesn't care about it. He is as cold-blooded a basketball assassin as we have ever seen. LeBron struggles with all this, and Kyrie just pushed that button.
It hurt because there are some things, if you look at what he's doing now, it hurt. It hurt that he didn't take a stance on certain issues, social issues earlier. That's why he's giving $100 million. That's why he's donating money. It bothers him. You want people to believe that Michael Jordan and Skip Bayless and other people don't have emotions and feelings, and that is the farthest from the truth. It does bother whether you show it or not. In your moment when you're alone, we know, Skip, it's okay to be human. Michael Jordan is okay. If you want Michael Jordan to be the GOAT, I'm not going to debate this.
I don't want to. Everybody except you wants to.
If you want him to be the GOAT, Skip, for this sake of argument, okay. But he's still human. Okay. Tom Brady is still human. That's why it bothered him that Coach Belichick would not treat him any different. Did it bother him? So I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah.
So Tom Brady should not be upset.
I don't care about Tom Brady. I care about LeBron James right now, because that's what we're talking about. And I'm trying to analyze on the deepest level possible. Is he still trying to make a case that his degree of difficulty in the bubble was off the charts? Because he's trying to say that I've gone into every finals, I'm prepared for somebody to try to distract me, as if Kyrie was trying to get him off his game by saying this on KD's podcast. Kyrie doesn't care.
Kyrie was fine with the bubble until the NBA told him he couldn't bring his butt down there. And then all of a sudden, he didn't want the guys to go down there. He was going to be fine with the bubble.
Do you think Kyrie said this on KD's podcast to distract LeBron during the finals? I do not.
First of all, Kyrie said the earth is flat. So I don't know what Kyrie's thinking. Kyrie is one of these guys that wants to be the smartest guy in the room. Okay, fine. Kyrie's an outstanding ball player. But the numbers and what he's saying, that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving hit more game-winning shots and big-time clutch shots than LeBron is just not true.
He's just going on his gut feeling from having played the game for X number of years, having watched KD, having played with LeBron. He's saying, in my head and my heart, This is a guy I would pass to for a last shot.
Skip, your gut don't have anything to do with facts. Facts don't care nothing about no feelings. It don't care nothing about your gut. The facts are LeBron James has more playoff buzzer beaters than Jordan, Kobe, KD, Kyrie, and any other Murray, any other you want to name. Skip, those are the facts. And what you tried to do, you tried to skew it to make it about games.
So if that's the fact, then why would LeBron take this so seriously and personally? Why would he be so stung by it?
Because
why wouldn't he just go on?
Skip, you would listen. Everybody knows you've been around people. It would bother me if one of my teammates, especially some of the ones that we went to lack of a better word, we went to battle with and we won games, and someone would say something like this when I know it not to be true.
That teammate left you and made it very clear. I know somebody really close to Kyrie, and I kept saying right here in this seat, the reason he's leaving is he can't take LeBron anymore.
Well, so why did he leave
LeBron
Boston?
is more about stats.
Okay, so why did he leave Boston? Was Jason Tatum more about stats?
It doesn't matter.
You see it?
No, it's irrelevant to this point.
Because, Skip,
he left.
Skip,
LeBron has to dismiss, cut bait, go forward.
Something brewing here, guys.
At the end of the day, guess what? KD's going to be the best player, just like LeBron was the best player in Cleveland. As long as he goes with one of those other guys, Kyrie's never going to be the best. Now, he went and thought he was the best in Boston, but they won more without him.
They meet up February 18th, guys. Looking forward to the season starting.
What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Shay Sharp. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
No mercy.
The Cowboys will visit the Ravens tonight on Fox in what looks like a must-win game for Zeke and company after wins by New York and Washington the past 2 days. The Cowboys are currently 3-8, the worst record in the NFC, and a loss tonight would drop them a full 2 games behind both their division rivals with 4 games to play. So Shannon, the shocking road wins by the Giants and Washington effectively end the Cowboys' chances of winning the NFC East.
I believe it did, Skip. But for the simple fact is that I did not see a scenario in which any team 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago could win 3 games in a row, let alone the Giants have won 4 in a row and Washington has won 3 in a row. And when you look at it, I had to come out here for the last 2.5 weeks and hear of all the teams in the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys had the most impressive road win outside of the division.
True.
They beat Minnesota.
True.
So what we're going to say about Washington football team yesterday and the Giants on Sunday?
Better.
Better.
Yep.
So it proves to me they're better than you are. Skip, look. If you just look at these two teams one played yesterday, the other played on Sunday. They're better. There's a gap between Washington and the Giants and the Eagles and the Cowboys. 2 teams are on the ascent and the other 2 teams are on the descent. It's as simple as that, Skip. It's as simple as that. I wish I could give it to you any other way, but I can't. And for Colt McCoy to go on the road and beat Seattle in Seattle, that was very impressive. But check down Alex to go into Pittsburgh 11-0. I think we all thought Pittsburgh was a very flawed 11-0 team. They can't run the football, and they throw a lot of short passes, and what happened was Sweat did the same thing to Big Ben, what he got Andy Dalton with. Got his hands up, intercepted it. Well, it led to deflection that basically sealed the game.
Yep.
Skip, look, you guys, you have a problem scoring the football. In the last 6, you've lost 5 of your last 6, and you've only reached 20 points in one of those games. Well, your defense is not good enough for your offense to be so negligent in scoring department that your defense is going to shut people down where you don't get but 18, 19, but your defense is going to hold them to 14, 15. That's not going to happen. So basically, what the Ravens will do for you tonight is end your season So, and I'll be happy about that because I would love to know the fact that you still got 3 more games to play, but you just be playing just to play. That's what I love. I love that. And you're going to be getting them garbage bags. I'm going to make sure I come out here next Monday because you're going to lose that game also with my hefty bag because it'd be about time for you to clean out your locker.
Okay. So I will admit to you that going into Sunday, I had high hopes for my team. The Ravens are in disarray. The Ravens are about to get Lamar back and Calais Campbell back. 2 big additions.
Yep.
Got it. But the Ravens have struggled, especially with Lamar in big home games. And this loomed as a pretty big home game for them to get back on track. So I would actually rather play Baltimore there than at Jerry World. So again, I'm thinking, okay, maybe. And I thought it was possible that Cam Irving and Zach Martin might actually be back.
Dude.
Neither happened.
Zach's on the R.
Zach is gone for the year, which I did not understand. I thought he had a calf pull, but I thought with that time off that they had, where it got pushed all the way back to a Tuesday, maybe from Thursday all the way through back to Tuesday,
Almost 2 weeks.
maybe enough time to rehab it and get it right. Gone.
It's got to be really bad because even with that 2 weeks, they're going to put him on IR, so that's a minimum of another 3 weeks.
Really bad.
Correct.
Okay, so I will admit it crushed my soul to watch Colt McCoy beat Russell Wilson at Seattle. It's impossible, and it happened as a 10.5-point underdog.
Yep.
It crushed my soul even worse last night to watch Check Down Alex beat 11-0 Big Ben Roethlisberger in his house.
What you couldn't do.
How could you do that? By the way, we, with Garrett Gilbert at quarterback, had been on the ropes at Jerry. Well, yes, we did. Had him on the ropes, and the referee said, no, not today.
No, don't do that, Skip. Don't do that.
We had to beat 2 teams, and we could only beat 1.
I can't believe you went to the referees.
No, but I did, because that was the truth in that game. So I will admit we are up against it tonight. Would I be shocked if we won? I would not be shocked. But all of a sudden, we have to win just to stay a game behind, obviously now New York and Washington. So a division that I was dead set sure would be Philly versus Dallas, Dallas versus Philly. Now it looks like it's the Giants against the football team. Are you kidding me? I hang on to this hope. Dallas's schedule, just based on one-loss records of remaining opponents, is still the 2nd easiest in the league. Meanwhile, Washington has moved all the way up to 8th easiest, so you might argue they now have a leg up. And the Eagles are 18th, but the Giants are way down at 21st easiest, and you start getting into hardest. I think it's what would be the 11th hardest, okay? So the Giants still have Arizona at home, but Arizona is suddenly struggling just when I thought after the miracle that Kyler made, that I thought the Hail Murray, I thought that would propel them into an obvious playoff spot, but now they are struggling. Cleveland, they got to play at home, the Giants do. Then they go to Lamar at Baltimore, and then they finish, obviously, with Cowboys at New York. And I was always circling that game as, wow, that could be for the division, right?
Yeah.
So Dallas has this remaining. At Baltimore, then at Cincinnati, which I always circled as, okay, we can certainly win that game. Then San Francisco was hit and miss last night. The quarterback just isn't very good. I don't even think their real starting quarterback is that good, but they have to come on a Sunday night to Jerry World.
49ers beat y'all.
You could be right, depending on what happens tonight. But then Philly comes to Dallas and then at New York. Okay, so the point is, I was so excited until I see the headline yesterday, Zach Martin is out for the year. They crystallized. They actually took off when Zach Martin, as you recall, the best guard in football, was moved to right tackle. And that happened right on schedule at Minnesota. And all of a sudden, Zeke came back to life. And all of a sudden, wait a second, Andy Dalton looks like a pretty good starting quarterback.
Okay.
And yet, what happened in the opening drive against the Washington football team on Thanksgiving, Zach goes out. Well, it actually went the other way. Cam Irving went out with the knee, and he's still out and gone. And Zach's out. That means tonight at Baltimore, I'm back to what I've had about 2/3 of this year. I have 2 undrafted kids at my bookend tackles. 2 kids. I got a rookie undrafted out of Texas Tech, and I have a 2nd-year undrafted out of Indiana. They probably shouldn't even be on rosters, but they have to hang in there and fight and scratch and claw.
I don't remember you making this kind of concession speech for walk it to him when his offensive line was in shambles.
He didn't have 2 undrafted at his tackles. He did not have 2 undrafted.
Look what he's got, Skip.
I know, but it's better than what I got left.
Skip, they had 27 pass attempts and got sacked 7 times.
Okay.
And 27 pass attempts.
But think of what I've lost this year. Think of what could have been.
Yeah.
I lost a Pro Bowl center and a Pro Bowl left tackle and a Pro Bowl right tackle and the best offensive guard in football. I lost them all.
Yeah.
You know, a perennial Pro Bowler, right?
Yeah.
And you can't lose all of them and say you have hope and a chance.
What? You still got C.D. Lamb. You still got all those
And by the way, thank you for bringing up C.D. Lamb. Do you realize, even with the 2 undrafteds at the bookend tackles, do you realize against the Washington football team on Thanksgiving, Andy Dalton hit C.D. Lamb right there in the end zone, right in the hands. Worst place you can hit a man. Hit him in the hands, and he dropped it, and he is not a ball dropper. Never was in college at Oklahoma. I watched every game he played, every snap. He dropped it, and guess what? If he had caught it, they would have gone to the 4th quarter tied with Washington. You know what the final score was? 41-16.
Yeah.
They lost the 4th quarter 21-0 because once he dropped the ball, they dropped all hope. They just, you could see the whole team say, that's it, we're done.
Why you say that's it? You done. But so you help me understand this, Skip. Dallas got the 2nd easiest schedule in the NFL this year.
Yep.
Why,
remaining.
Yes. Why are you so convinced they can go on this win streak when they've only won one in a row?
I needed Zach Martin to go on it. So now am I skeptical? Yeah, I am. Am I going to hang in? But I'm fighting my better judgment because you know what my better judgment says? Just root against them. You know, root for an 0-5 finish because maybe there's a Trevor Lawrence in our future.
Guess what? You might get that anyway, whether you root or not. You can root for them, and you're probably, at best case scenario, going to be 2-3.
Well, look at my defense. Just when Trevon Diggs seemed like he was the catalyst to my defense, he's lost.
Whoa, Skip. Why are you making all these excuses?
Because they're legit. They're valid.
So walk it to him playing without Alshon Jeffrey, playing without D-Jack, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, Lane Johnson, Barrett Brooks. So is that valid?
What was the first thing you said in that sentence? You said walk it to him. He's actually give it to him.
No, well, yeah.
But, okay.
So is that an excuse?
Okay. I don't have Dak Prescott. I lost him. I lost him early. You've had Wentz for better and for worse. Did you lose Carson Wentz? No.
We saw what Dak looked like when Zeke was out and Tyron Smith was out. You remember what Dak looked like? They had to trade up to a first and a third or 2-1 to go get Amari Cooper when he didn't have a number 1. You remember what Dak looked like? Let's not pretend 2017 didn't happen.
Okay, but you're the guy who says he deserves $42 million a year.
Hey. Hold on. All I'm saying is that you're making excuses for your Cowboys that you will refuse to allow any other team to make. So let's not. Hey,
my excuses are more valid than your excuses. Yes, they are.
No, they're not, Skip. No, they're not. Go ahead and take this butt cut like a man and go ahead and get this 4th pick in the draft.
So you know what's going to happen today in Baltimore. Lamar is going to try to feature Dez Bryant so he can get even with Jerry Jones.
Nope.
Just watch. He will catch 5 balls for 65 yards. Just watch.
No, watch this. The Ravens will rush for 200 yards because y'all can't stop the run. That's what everybody does against you guys. Run the football. Remember, hold on. If I'm not mistaken, didn't D-Law say that bleep that happened in Cleveland won't happen again? And they Washington just come in there and run you off the field.
Well, not like they did at Washington, but they ran for a few yards.
But that was the only reason they didn't do like Washington, Skip, because they had beat 41-16. If you keep the game close, Arizona.
And by the way, the guy who kills us is Antonio Gibson, and somehow he got hurt last night and wasn't even contributing to what happened at Pittsburgh. How do you figure that? By the way, we stopped Pittsburgh's run because they can't run on anybody. But we did.
First of all, Skip, Pittsburgh can't run, and they can't run, period.
Did we hold them to like 46 yards?
Well, that's not saying anything because they can't run. And plus, another thing, they drop far too many passes. Now, you talk about a quarterback their receivers drop everything he throws to them.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Right.
That's not my concern. As long as y'all catch this L tonight, that'll put y'all at 3-9 with 4 games to play. It'd be over.
I would take 8.5 points.
No, you're going to take nothing. You're going to bet this case of Duke. You were doing it. Hold on. At the top of the show, Jenny, you remember? He was doing all this talking. I might bet you. I might.
Remember.
Oh, you was over there just.
I will. 8.5 right here, right now.
No. Straight up.
I'm going to be true to my school, my Cowboys.
You bet you got to do. We got a case of Duke.
I got 8.5.
No, you ain't got no 8.5.
Oh, come on.
No,
Put your money where your mouth is.
They're finished.
You got the Cowboys. You got C.D. Lamb. You got Amari Cooper. You got Michael Gallup.
I got Terrence Steele and Brandon Knight. You ever heard of them? They're my tackles tonight.
And you got Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's a good quarterback.
I'm very intrigued how this one's going to wrap up.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
We got the rest of the show. Maybe we will come to an agreement about a bet. Think about it. I want to go back to the NBA, though, guys. Well, the Rockets have gotten their training camp underway this past week. James Harden is still noticeably absent when discussing Harden's holdout after yesterday's practice. New coach Steve Silas told media there is no timetable as far as I know. It is a setback. You want your best player to be here. And meanwhile, Harden's mother defended the former MVP's rumored trade demand to Brooklyn on social media yesterday, posting, he asked for a chance to get a ring. That's it. Anyone in their right mind would want that. So, Shannon, how much do you blame Harden for holding out?
It's Kim. The Rockets have done everything they possibly could in their power. Skip, they've mortgaged off their future in draft assets, trying to get James Harden a ring. Even though after
trying to get themselves a ring,
but they did everything they did. They consulted James Harden. There was not one player that came into that organization that James Harden was not consulted on. Okay, they went and got him a big in Dwight Howard. He and Dwight Howard couldn't make it. Dwight Howard says, nah, later for this. Forget this one-on-one. I can still play basketball. They got CP3 and gave up all their draft assets to trade CP3 for Russell Westbrook. They got Clint Capella. They got rid of Clint Capella. Skip, they've done everything for James Harden. Even after great after great after great said, look, if James Harden wants to try to win a championship, that style of play isn't conducive. But guess what? He was unwilling to change. And now, Skip, his mom says, well, I want to, all he asked for was a trade. Anybody could want that, Skip. If James Harden thinks that style, even the great Michael Jordan couldn't win a championship with that style of play. The great Kobe Bryant, the two offensive guys, Skip, that game come to mind when you talk about offense, could not win championships with that style of play. Kobe even told James that you can't win a championship dominating the ball like you dominated. No, we can do it. Skip, Daryl Morey got rid of every big. Basically, they're going out there like a college team. 6'7" and under. It's like a 6'7" league and under. For James Harden to try to win. And now, you over there, you out there, all out there with Lil Baby in the A. Gifted Lil Baby, Richard Mille, and, Dior and cars and all that. You all in Vegas. But I tell you what, he ain't gonna miss no check. Now, I'm gonna find him. Now, I don't know what the max the Rockets can find him, but I'm taking that paper. And I don't believe now, James Harden probably making, $40 million a year? There's a good likelihood, and if I'm not mistaken, the NBA, they play their players, like most people, twice a month. I don't think you're going to miss no checks. But I'm telling you what, every day you don't show up, whatever the max I can find you through the CBA, Skip, I'm going to get that. And I ain't giving it back to you when you show up. I'm not going to let you hold me hostage. Now, we entered into an agreement. The one thing about the NBA, Skip, and MLB, contract guaranteed. That money guaranteed. Everybody, you see, Anthony Davis said the reason why I took this long-term deal is because of my injury history. That way I'm protected. James Harden protected for another 2 years, Skip Bayless. I'm not trading him unless I get maximum. Brooklyn, you want it? KD or Kyrie plus a couple of other players. I'm not taking, you're not finna get me with no jelly beans. It's about, I give you all these jelly beans. You just give me the big beans. Oh, no.
I don't think Karis LeVert qualifies as a jelly bean.
Is he James Harden?
No.
Okay, what about Spencer Dinwiddie? Is he James Harden?
No, but they're pretty good players.
Skip.
They're not jelly beans.
Pretty good players does not win you titles. Superstars win you titles. So which one of those superstars are you willing to get off of to get James Harden? Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving? Brooklyn, do we have a deal? Oh, we don't, huh? Okay, well, keep it moving. Kick rocks.
Okay, allow me to start with the fact that in the business you and I are in right now, I grew up in this business being taught that a contract is a contract.
Correct.
No ifs, no ands, no buts, no way out.
Right.
Okay? A deal is a deal.
Right.
Taught that since I was a little kid. This league, the rules are different because the players have slowly but surely taken over this league.
Thanks to who? Thanks to who? Give my guy credit.
I will, because he was the guy, thanks to clutch sports, or sometimes unclutch sports, however you want to do it.
Don't do that.
Who pried Anthony Davis out of a contract in New Orleans. And New Orleans went out of its way to do everything it could to give Anthony Davis the help he needed to win, or at least be a viable contender, right? How about DeMarcus Cousins? How about Rondo? You have Drew Holiday. I could go on and on. They had a pretty good team a couple of years ago.
But Boogie got hurt.
Okay? But the point is, Anthony Davis says, I'm not happy. I want out. I want to go with LeBron.
Right.
I want to go to L.A.
Right.
And the New Orleans officials, after the fact, admitted we shouldn't have even kept him as long as we did, because it got to be really difficult around here.
Yeah.
You know, it got to be ugly around here, right? Okay.
Because Dale Demps had dug in.
Okay. So the point is that the PER prince, who was Anthony Davis, he could flex his muscles enough to say, okay, I win PER a lot, but I don't win anything else. I want to go with LeBron and win a championship.
Right,
okay?
right.
So was he able to force his way out? You better believe he was.
After a year?
Okay, well, he forced his way out. Did my man Kawhi Leonard force his way out of San Antonio after a year? Yes, he did.
Yes.
He made himself, do not invite him back. He made it so ugly in San Antonio that finally they just said, we have to move him.
Thanks to Tony Parker and Mondo.
Okay, fine. But he started it.
They
Obviously,
didn't start. You ought to be ashamed.
Kyrie Irving said, I can't take LeBron anymore. I got to get out. You got to do it. And Dan Gilbert said, okay, because he had years left. You didn't have to trade him.
Right.
And he dealt him, right?
But here's the thing. They had another deal in place that could have got Paul George, and Paul George was willing to come if LeBron was willing to sign an extension. LeBron's like, no, I don't trust Dan Gilbert, and I'm not signing no extension. So you do what you got to do.
Okay. Paul George, speaking of, till death did him part with Russell in Oklahoma City, right? We're here for the duration. No, you're not there for the duration.
And now he's talking about he want to be a Clipper.
Okay,
Skip, that was
Clipper for life.
He said the very same thing in Indy.
He did.
I want to be here. This is where I want to be. Boom. He goes to OKC.
Boom.
Oh, I love it here. We can do it here. Boom. Now he wants. So I'm trying to figure out, were you lying then or are you lying now?
Okay, so how can I condemn James Harden for his current strategy? It's the way business is done in this league.
Okay. What is James Harden upset that he and Russ didn't work out? Is he upset that management made moves without consulting him? Because it seemed like Mike D'Antoni walked out the door and they didn't have. It's hard for me to believe, Skip, that Stephen Silas was first on their list after Mike D'Antoni walked out the door.
Supposedly they blessed him. Supposedly he and Russ both blessed him.
And now both of them want out.
Well, they're both out.
Exactly.
Yeah, it feels like
okay, and so Daryl Morey, who was James Harden, who went and got James Harden.
He did.
And they maxed him out. Skip, there are not very many teams that max out 6 men of the year. And that's what the Rockets did. They believed in him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Look, it's going to be a very uncomfortable situation, but I'm going to hold on to him for a year, and I'm going to drive the price up.
Okay, here's what James is thinking. I am entering my 12th season in this league.
Yeah.
Remember, KD was entering his 10th season when he said, I don't care what anybody says, I'm going to go join forces with those guys in Golden State.
But KD,
and he has 2 rings to show for it.
But for everybody that talks about LeBron was a free agent.
He was. No, he did it the right way.
Kevin Durant was a free agent. He didn't hold anybody hostage.
But I just listed a bunch of guys who weren't free agents who just forced their way out. So here's James Harden. He's won 3 straight scoring titles.
Yes.
He was the 2018 MVP. He led the league in assists in 2017. He says, I got all these accolades. I'm called revolutionary as a perimeter scorer, right?
Right.
And I don't even have, I can't see a ring in sight. I need a telescope to see a ring.
Correct.
Because I got John Wall and what's left of DeMarcus Cousins, and that's what the guys they had last year. Obviously.
That roster was filled out by people that James Harden blessed.
Sure.
Daryl Morey, nobody's on that. Now, obviously, they've added some pieces since Daryl Morey is no longer the general manager, the John Wall, and I think there's some other pieces that's been added, Boogie Cousins, that Morey didn't have anything to do with.
Got it.
But everybody that came in the last 4 years, let's just take 4 years, Skip. James Harden blessed.
Okay, so let's look back at when did he sign this extension? A 4-year extension was in July of 2017. He still has 2 years left on this contract. He has a player option for a 3rd year, but obviously that's out of play now because he didn't want to stay.
Right.
Okay, so what happened in that 2017-18 season? That team went 65-17. Is that good?
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty great, right? That team blew through Minnesota in the first round and blew through the Jazz in the second round in 5-5. And all of a sudden, mounted a 3-2 lead on Golden State in the conference finals. And that was with Chris Paul, with whom James really didn't get along, but they were pretty good together.
Exactly.
Right? Because they're a pretty good mix and match.
But that's the thing, the skill.
Okay, remember, and what happened right on schedule? Up 3-2.
Chris Paul
hamstring. And here they went, and they get blown out, and they lose badly, and James was just a disaster in Game 7. Shot 12 of 29. He was 2 of 13 from 3. He turned back into James Harden. But that was as close as he ever got to a ring, because if Chris Paul doesn't get hurt, I'm pretty sure they can hang on to that. And if they do hang on to that, I'm pretty sure they would have beaten your LeBron Cavaliers.
What about the year? You didn't even bring up the year that the Spurs beat the brakes off the Rockets when Kawhi hurt his ankle and didn't even play, and they beat the Rockets by 50 in Houston with James Harden on the floor.
Okay. Now, he's had some playoff disasters. I'm just showing you how close he was.
Yes!
If Chris Paul does not get hurt, he's got a ring.
And guess what? And then they lose I think they lose the following year, and James Harden says, I know what we got to get done. We'll take care of it this offseason. He gets Chris Paul up out of there. He gets Russ. Oh, they friends. Oh, they best boys. They grew up. They know each other.
Okay, well, the way this league works, the way business is done is, if you don't give James Harden what he wants, you're going to have a long, miserable time this year in Houston.
We're going to have a long, miserable time with or without him, so I might as well just go ahead and keep him.
All right. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, we good. We good.
You don't want mom to be mad either. That's never a good look. You don't want mom
we good. We good.
About
what about the Lakers, though? Purple Gold. How we looking?
Yeah, you just don't want him to go to work.
No mercy.
The Steelers' bid for a perfect season, well, it ended yesterday when the Washington football team handed them their first loss of the year, 23-17. Alex Smith finished with 296 passing yards, 1 touchdown. What a comeback for him, while Pittsburgh's only turnover on the night, a crucial Big Ben interception at the 2-minute warning, brought any hopes of an undefeated season to an end. The Steelers are still currently atop the AFC at 11-1, but the loss opened the door for the Chiefs to nab the AFC's only first-round bye in the playoffs this year. So, Shannon, how overrated were the Steelers?
Well, Skip, they've been on borrowed time for a minute, and I thought they were overrated because they had some flaws that they were never able to correct, and it was their inability to run the football. And I said, I just don't believe you can be this one-dimensional. Now, it's not like they have this great aerial assault. What they do is that Ben gets the ball out of his hands really quick, and he has smallish guys that can make you miss, get great yards after the catch. Deontay Johnson, Juju. They got guys. Claypool has been unbelievable, Skip. Ebron. So they've got those guys. What they do is that they put Ben in the shotgun, and he's like, okay, Ben, get the ball out of his hand, because nobody gets the ball out of his hand as quick as Big Ben. And guys make you miss, and they're getting first down. But at some point in time, Skip, you got to run the football. You got to be able to line up in a 4-minute, go 2 tight ends, get your 4-minute offense, and run some time off the clock. And they can't do that. 3rd down and 1-2, they got to throw the ball because their running game isn't very good. And so for me, I've always felt, and I just kept and Coach Tomlin kept talking about it. We didn't play good. Yeah, we won the game. We're happy that we won. But there are some things that if we don't get these things cleaned up, it's going to be a problem for us later down the road. And we see this come to fruition. As you mentioned, your Cowboys had them on the ropes. The Ravens had them on the ropes. There are a lot of teams, and they just keep and you just keep, okay, you keep playing with fire. You keep, you don't realize how close you are. And sometimes, Skip, when you win games, you're like, oh, man, we won. We can correct that. This loss might do them better than going 12-0 because it's going to force them to look, guys, we got an issue that we need to get corrected. Receivers, Skip, And they went like 2 series in a row, and they dropped like 4 balls in 2 series. I'm like, dude, how'd you do that?
I don't know. Good question.
And they just dropping balls left and right. But it was, I think, the biggest problem, because I think that's lack of concentration, Skip. When you catch so many, when you getting the ball, they run a lot of smoke screens, a lot of bubble screens and things, smoke routes, is that you're trying to run after the catch. And so it's a lack of concentration. You can fix that. But this running game, Skip, you can't be 29th in running the football, Skip. You just can't do it. Because teams are like, and you see what happened at the end of the game, a guy just got his hands up, carry him, and basically end your hope. So I thought no one was really buying the Steelers, Skip. We barely been talking about it because we look at this team like, that is the most flawed 11-0 team that I had ever seen. And I've been part of a team that was that went 13-0. And I'm like, that's a very flawed team. And they're on borrowed time.
Okay.
And the time came due.
All right. Point number 1. The defense was not flawed or overrated when it was healthy.
Yes.
When it was healthy.
But you
at
can't,
full strength.
Bud Dupree's gone.
Okay, but
Bush is
full
gone.
strength.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They legit. They still can get after you, even with those 2 guys out.
The offensive line is not overrated. It's still legit.
Yeah.
Big Ben's season has not been overrated because it's been very legit to the point he should have been more in the MVP conversation through the 11 games. Because he is still operating at a very high level.
Yes.
And you will not be able to unconvince me of this. Yesterday, the game I watched, probably mid-second quarter, I thought Pittsburgh was going to win by 21. Seriously, it felt like they were going to win by 21 because they were doing whatever they wanted. They were just going up and down the field.
Right.
And they weren't cashing, but you just figured they were going to start cashing, and it was going to get way out of hand very quickly. And by the way, in the end, Ben's QBR was 63, which is above average, and Alex Smith's was 43. So you say, well, 63 over, it's 20 points higher. But what happened? Well, here's what happened to me. First of all, the Steelers got pandemicked. They got 2020, and we've all been 2020 in so many different ways. But remember, they were forced weirdly to play Baltimore on a weird day on a Wednesday. On a Wednesday? And nobody seemed to want to play the game on either side because the Ravens were COVID-racked, right? And remember, Robert Griffin after the game is saying, how dare you force us? It was his chance to showcase himself. Right. But the point was, nobody on either side seemed to have their heart in it because it's hard to, because you're going out there thinking, am I going to get it off am I going to exchange saliva with somebody, Like,
and what did they play, 3 games in 12 days?
Right, because it's horrible because then the Wednesday forced them to go short week to a weird Monday start at 5 p.m. and you don't start Monday Night Football games at 5, right? Right. So everybody's scared and out of sync.
We're 2 o'clock. We're 2 o'clock Pittsburgh time.
Right. Okay. No, it was when it was at 5. It's 5 o'clock Pittsburgh time. Yes, it was 2 o'clock.
2 our time.
Okay,
Yeah, right.
I got it.
Yeah.
But the point is, everything's just out of whack, including their psyche. And then what happens going into the game? Well, obviously, as you just pointed out, they had lost Bud Dupree. He's the bookend pass rusher, and he takes the pressure off TJ. So now I was watching last night. They were like triple teaming TJ because you can.
And he's still getting home.
And he's still occasionally getting loose and getting free. They had lost their other starting cornerback, Steven Nelson, was out last night. I don't know what happened, but he was gone. And then right away, early in the game, Robert Spillane, who took Devin Bush's place and had been playing at a high level, he got hurt on a pass rush. He came down wrong on his knee. And then all of a sudden, later in the second half, Joe Hayden was lost. Well, now you're about to get average on defense.
Well, Skip, we always talk about, and you hear guys talk about playing that Sunday, Thursday game. Yep. But just imagine another 3 games. Skip, that's a lot. That body wasn't made, I don't know if body was made to play football. It definitely wasn't made to play football 3 games, NFL football in 12 days.
No.
You're asking an awful lot.
I totally agree. And James Conner, their one credible running back, is still on the COVID list.
Yes.
Whew. And finally, it came down to your kicker, Chris Boswell, who's really good.
Yeah.
He's out with a hip injury, so the crucial play comes down with about 5 minutes left. It's 4th and 1 all the way down at Washington's 28. You could have kicked a field goal. It's tied at 17-all, and here's the play. And Anthony McFarland, the third-string back, comes in, and it was kind of a wheel route, but it was kind of like a
he ran like
zig
a sluggo.
It's a sluggo. It is a slant and go. Yeah. So it's not really technically a wheel route where he wheels.
Right.
But the point is, he's caught 5 balls all year, and now you throw him a difficult back shoulder ball, up
That's
the
not
field.
a receiver.
Okay, well, what's he going to do? He's not going to catch it,
No,
right?
no, he's
and
not.
it wasn't a terrible throw, but it was a hard catch.
Right.
It was a hard catch for a wide receiver.
Being through it like he's throwing the ball to Juju or
Right.
Deontay Johnson or James Washington.
Or Lynn Swann.
Right.
Maybe.
Skip,
Right.
I expect them to make that catch
Right.
because they're used to catching back shoulders. But a running back?
Okay, that's the play of the game because you turn down a field goal because
Right.
you think your practice squad kicker is not up
Right.
to making from the 28 a field goal, whatever that would have been.
Yeah.
28.
38, probably what, 45? Yes.
Okay. You got to be able to make a 45-yard field goal to go ahead 2017 with 5 minutes left.
Well, let me ask you a question, Skip. If the score was tied and you got 10 seconds on the clock, or 20 seconds on the clock, are you going to attempt a field goal or are you going to go for it? Because I believe you kicked it. Why'd you bring the guy in? The guy had to show you, Skip, he had range from at least that distance.
You would think so. I don't know.
I ain't signed no kicker, Skip, if practice, the far as he can make it is a 40-yarder.
Yeah.
Ain't no sense in
Okay, so then we get to the drops. I have no idea, but this team seems distracted because I thought Ebron dropped 3. They had him for 2, and Deontay Johnson had 3. No,
2 or 3,
they gave him 3.
Juju had 1.
And it's 7 total,
Yes.
which is the most this year, and I think it's the most Pittsburgh's had in 15 years.
But, Skip, I watch them every week and they drop a lot of balls.
Yep.
And that's a problem. But, Skip, I mean, if you look at over the last 7 games, they're averaging 61 yards. Rushing a game with 3 yards a carry. They've reached 100 yards.
Snell had 8 carries for 5 yards.
What you gonna do with that?
Nothing. I mean, you can't win with that. And Ben is weird what's he, 38-ish?
Yes.
38. He is now in the mode of he flips it more than he fires it or throws it. He doesn't really throw the football that much. It's just flip.
Yeah.
And he's a really good flipper.
Yeah.
He's like a dart thrower now.
He's playing, like you said, he's playing unbelievable.
Yeah.
But, Skip, the thing is, look, you can win a bunch of games, but his numbers, if you look at the guys that were in the MVP discussion, you look at Rodgers' numbers, you look at Mahomes' numbers, Mahomes was almost 1,000 yards ahead of Ben. It's passing. Rodgers is 400 or 500 yards ahead.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, Skip, yeah, it's about winning, but you got to have stats too. And I just didn't think, what was it, 25-8, something like 25-5 touchdowns?
Yep.
But I just thought they were a flawed team.
So under Ben Roethlisberger, their record with 14-point leads was 109-2-1.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd lost 2 games and tied 1 under Ben in 112 games. Well, they had a 14-point lead.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, Washington sort of, I don't know how they got their late field goal. Something weird happened. Alex Smith ran off the field with the football.
You see what he did? Jake Allen got smart. They couldn't find the kicking ball.
No.
Man, you know good well you're supposed to throw that ball in.
Well, they got their late field goal, and it tended to just shift the whole momentum going into the second half. Here we were.
Mike Tomlin probably said, y'all screwed us, right?
Well,
you know what happened.
Okay.
The NFL probably gonna fine Alex Smith for that one.
They probably should find him for that. I agree. Although Alex Smith is now going to be the runaway comeback player of the year and should be.
Well, Skip, the moment he stepped on the field, it was over.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have to throw a pass, a touchdown, or anything, let alone win the best right and win the division. He might get it for the next couple of years. They might name the award after him.
And his head coach has been through a round of chemo, so he's the comeback coach of the year, right?
And then Skip, he stepped up, he got spiked, and he's bleeding. He got
bleeding all over the place. Yeah, that was weird.
It was.
Wow.
Yeah, but you can't deny the comeback. That's
he's been unbelievable.
No mercy.
The Bills beat the 49ers last night, 34-24, to improve to 9-3 on the season. And after a shaky first quarter, Buffalo scored 17 straight in the second quarter and never looked back. Josh Allen had his best game since week 2, throwing 4 touchdowns with no interceptions while completing 80% of his passes against the Niners defense. So Shannon, should Allen have gone number 1 overall in the 2018 draft instead of Baker Mayfield?
Well, Skip, it's easy to say that now because it looks like he has the best upside. He's the second most athletic quarterback in the draft behind Lamar, but I believe his arm is the best in the draft class. So if you look at it and says that now, but if I were to let's just say for the sake of argument, Skip, he went to a Power 5 school. With his tools, there's no question in my mind he's the number 1 pick in the draft. No question in my mind, but it was because he went to Wyoming. Because, Skip, you see the throws that he's making. He can move and throw the ball on the move like a much smaller. You don't realize how big he is. He's 6'5.5", easy 240, and he has a cannon for an arm.
He does.
And the thing that you always concern yourself with, Skip, with a guy that has a strong arm is his accuracy. Because sometimes the ball, he's throwing it so hard, the ball sails on him, and he gets away from him. But he made a throw last night on an end cut, what we call a dagger route, where he threw the ball over Fred Warner.
Yeah.
Skip, not very many quarterbacks can make that throw. Not very many quarterbacks have the moxie to say, you know what, I can get it there. And when you look at him, his legs, his ability to throw on the move, the ability to throw in the pocket, to get off a script, Skip, knowing what we know now, it's easy to say that. But I believe had he gone to a Power 5 school, he would have been the #1 pick in the draft. And that was the only reason that he wasn't, is because he went to Wyoming. He's from Ohio State, Michigan, or one of these, like I said, any Power 5 school. With that kind of talent, Skip, he's going #1. He's going #1. He's Drew Bledsoe. More athletic, big arm, because Skip, Drew could throw it 80 yards, but he's more mobile than Drew.
Way more.
So, yeah, Skip, I'm impressed. I mean, he has the third time this year, Skip, he's had 3 games with 375, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
Yep.
You talk about Big Ben in the MVP discussion, you might need to mention him.
Okay, so I told you before the year, I love the Bills. I wish I'd had the guts to pick the Bills to win the AFC because I picked Lamar and company just because I thought they were due. They were right on the precipice, and I thought it was going to be Lamar's.
You picked them as a playoff team?
I did.
You want to pick the Bills to win the AFC? The whole shebang?
Yeah.
Get to Tampa.
No, I was thinking about it before the year. I told you that on opening day, whenever we picked, on the Friday before the opener. Okay, now back to Josh Allen. He had an extraordinary game last night. That's just like you didn't do a whole lot wrong in that game.
He didn't.
The knock on him, the concern that I still have about him is his accuracy because the arm is so big. And I watched him one game at Wyoming. I think it was against Boise State. I think it was, but now I'm not sure about that.
Right.
But he was shaky. His body language was shaky. He wasn't sure of himself. So his rookie year, he completed 53% of his passes, not good enough.
Not good.
But he improved to 59% a year ago, not bad.
Right.
Working hard on it.
Right.
And now he's all the way up to 70%. I think it ranks 4th in the league right now.
You can live with that.
That'll work.
Yeah.
He's had some shaky games this year, but his accuracy has been mostly pretty consistently on target.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to give you that. But I'm not going to back off on Baker because Baker has turned it back around. So I'm going to stick with what I thought before the draft. You might move Josh Allen up however high you want to.
Right, because he went 7th, so you say
Okay.
you take him 2nd.
Okay, you would. And you like Sam Darnold. I didn't, but now I think we're both pretty much still out on Sam Darnold, right?
I'm more out on Adam Gase than I am Sam Darnold.
Well, you could make that case. But obviously, Josh Allen was the second, to me, just barely the second best quarterback in the draft. So let's look at what has happened to Baker Mayfield. He had a terrific rookie year. I look at the Pro Football Focus grade. You hate Pro Football Focus right now, but again, their rookie grade on him was one of the best they've ever had for a rookie in limited time.
Right.
But he has faced and had to live with and deal with coaching chaos right from the start. Hugh Jackson says during Hard Knocks his rookie year, I know you're the first pick in the draft, but you're not going to start for me. I'm going with Tyrod. Remember this?
Yes.
And then Hugh ends up getting fired sort of midstream,
Right.
and then Baker's furious with Hugh, and he's pointing at him when they're winning at Cincinnati. And Baker had a terrific finish to his rookie year. And then all of a sudden, the spokesman for Progressive Insurance went regressive in his second year. And I'm going to attribute most of that decline, precipitous decline, to Odell.
Oh, I thought you were
Odell.
giving to Freddie K.
Nope, and that didn't help. But Odell Beckham Jr. joins the Browns. And look, Baker idolized Odell. He wanted to kind of be Odell. He wanted to socialize, party with him, and he definitely wanted to make sure that he force-fed him the football during football games to the detriment of the offense. And he started getting so Odell-centric to me that you're like, are you open? No, can I get it to you? And after a while, you can't operate like that because he was so good as a rookie spreading the football, seeing the most. He's more of a first-read quarterback. He is mobile, and he's starting to figure out how to be more pocket mobile just by staying in the pocket and buying a little bit of time. But look at these numbers. So Odell's with him for the 16 games last year, and they both played 16 games, and Baker was, as you know, horrendous.
Correct.
Then we come to this year, and the first 6 games, Baker was still horrendous with Odell. Then I'm knocking on wood for Odell's recovery. I don't wish this upon anybody, but starting after 6 games, in Game 7, the last 6 games that we've seen him play, Odell got hurt early in the Cincinnati game, and Baker took off. So look at these numbers, again, from Pro Football Focus. So his passing grade for the first 6 games was 57.3. It's all the way up for the last 6 games to 90.6. So he went from 4th worst to 3rd best in the league, says Pro Football Focus.
2 of those games against Cincinnati.
Okay, and he just lit them up twice. He had a 98 and 97 QBR against Cincinnati. I give you that.
Now, Tennessee, I'll give you Tennessee.
I know. But now his what they call big-time throws, he went from 20th in the league to 2nd in the league in the last 6 games in big-time throws. And you hate these stats, but turnover-worthy plays, he was 3rd to last in the first 6 games. Now he's all the way up to 6th in turnover-worthy throws. So something has completely flipped. A switch got flipped. No Odell, it clarified. This is no knock on Odell's ability. It's just that they had too much of a good thing because they had Jarvis already. Now Jarvis is clearly the solo primary receiver.
The biggest thing that helped Allen is the trade for Stephon Diggs.
For sure. No, he loves Stephon. He trusts him.
And well, you know what else? Oh, Measly Beasley. I don't know if you've been watching, but Beasley cooking.
Is he?
He got the most touchdowns for somebody 5'8" or shorter receiving touchdown.
He threw him 11 balls last night, and Measly caught 9 of them for 130 yards.
He had 100 and something at the half. So I think that was the biggest addition.
We miss you, Cole.
Yeah, no,
we're good.
You wanted the guy they got from Green Bay. You was like, oh yeah, give me him. Randall Cobb. Oh, I want Rassi and Skip. Measly Beasley. He showing y'all. He said, I just want to go somewhere to show him what I can do.
He's got guts, man.
That was the biggest Skip. But for me, so you believe that Baker has a bigger upside than Josh Allen?
I do, and it's on. It's on intangibles. It's on spark. It's on leadership. It's on, and again, Baker can front run, but he can front run with the best of them. If you give him some momentum, all of a sudden he's doing the drum major up the field, and he can back it up. I saw him do it at Oklahoma. I saw the team just rally around. In fact, what Hugh loved about him was, he said, the first day I went down to scout him at Oklahoma to check him out before his pro day, he walked into their locker room facility and did some weird, like, whistle, and everybody whistled back to him. Said he's like the Pied Piper. Well, he can be. I think he's a stronger leader for a team, which gives him a higher, higher ceiling, I think, to take a team farther than Josh can take it.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for me not to see that young man have that C on his chest next year. But Skip, the throws that he made, remember that throw that almost won the game in Arizona to Stephon Diggs? Skip, he can fly that throw. And I mean, he's perfect for Buffalo because you already know Buffalo will get some terrible weather. And he got the kind of arm that can negate that weather. Yep. Rain, snow, wind, it won't affect him.
Hey.
And now that he got Diggs.
Okay, I got it. All the tangibles are there. The intangibles are there. That man has some magic to him. He does.
I don't know, Skip.
Yes,
I think getting off script, 17 is better than 6.
I'll still take 6. I'll go farther with 6 than you can go with 17.
Nah, hold on. So you ain't pick Cleveland to go to you go to think about picking Cleveland to go to the Super Bowl.
No, but
you
I
thought
didn't
about picking that guy to go to the Super Bowl.
Okay, but I didn't know Odell was going to be out of the picture either. I said it first thing. I first guessed it. It's not a good fit for Baker to have Odell.
Well, Josh Allen, Skip, he impressed me. I mean, I've watched him a couple of times this year. It's going to be interesting to see what he do against Coach Belichick the second time around.
Okay, but if you watch Josh at Tennessee versus Baker at Tennessee, there's a big difference in those 2 games.
Yeah, obviously. Tennessee had an off game.
No mercy.
In October, Kyrie Irving said that playing with Kevin Durant will mark the first time he feels comfortable with a teammate taking a big clutch shot, seemingly taking a shot at LeBron James. And now LeBron admitted on a podcast that the comment, quote, kind of hurt me a little bit. LeBron also added that during his run with Kyrie in Cleveland, his main goal was to see Irving win MVP. And even though they won a title, he and Kyrie, quote, could never align. So, Skip, why did LeBron make such a big deal of this?
I don't know. I hope you can explain to me why, because I was stunned and dumbfounded that LeBron chose this podcast, upon which he goes fairly frequently, to just unload about something that Kyrie said 2 months ago that should have gone in one ear and out the other for LeBron James during the finals. And he took it so seriously, he requested a transcript of it so he could pore over it and let it sink in exactly how deep it would hurt him that Kyrie would suggest that he finally has a teammate in Kevin Durant that he would give up a last shot to.
Yeah, you do realize, like, they're in the bubble. So you hear
So
everything.
you think it's a bubble phenomenon?
I mean, no, but you hear everything.
I thought he was 0 dark 30.
No, Skip. You know, he said this year is different because he's not home, so
I have
he's
to
not
keep
going
the phone on in case Savannah needs me or my mom needs me,
right?
right?
Or Bronny,
So
or Zuri.
wait,
got
all
her
those
own
other
number.
finals, he didn't keep his phone on in case Savannah needed him. I'm sorry.
Skip, there you see, you always.
Well, come on. So this stung him so deeply because it hit a nerve. Sometimes the truth hurts. And what if we always question, at least I started it, I know, question the clutch gene, and we can go on and on about how clutch or not clutch LeBron has been in big late game moments.
Right.
But somehow it really eats at him that a former teammate would suggest he's not clutch, to the point that he just bared his soul through this podcast, and it's all F-bombs and GDs, and it got him. And yet I'm thinking, you always say he's better than Jordan. Well, do you realize Jordan would have scoffed at some notion like this? Like he would have dismissed it so much he would have lost no sleep over it. And the last thing he would have done on something that an ex-teammate said was to address it at this kind of length publicly. And clearly it was premeditated on LeBron's part. It wasn't something that he just went on and spilled on.
Yeah, well,
he had thought it through.
Well, I hope he ain't give up all the information because, you know, we got to come on Club Shay Shay podcast.
Oh,
and,
so that's what you're angling
you know what I'm saying? You know,
why doesn't LeBron have his own podcast?
Skip!
This is called Road Trip, and he could call his just Tripping,
No,
right?
Well, you guys,
He's just tripping on this.
Actually, Skip, first of all, he has Uninterrupted. He also has The Shop, which he sits around and athletes and entertainers come around and they're sitting, you know, he's sitting in the barber's chair and everybody's carrying on conversation. And he has Uninterrupted, another media platform. So he's good on that angle. So let somebody else get into that, you know, he has a production company. He's making movies. You try to get him to get hard up all the things. Let me get into the market.
Okay.
But
Boy, he's putting these guys on the map because he loves this podcast.
Skip, I think the thing is that when you play with someone, and not saying I was not even close to the player LeBron is, but it would bother me, Skip. Just imagine if somebody, I got the name Big Play Shay for a reason. And then all of a sudden somebody say, well, man, you know what? Dude make more plays than, you know.
Okay, I got it, but nobody ever said that.
But I'm
about
saying,
you.
but I'm saying though, Skip, I'm trying to imagine, yeah, it would bother me. Now, I don't know if I would say it publicly, but he clearly, it bothered him enough that he wanted the voice. I love the fact that no matter how great LeBron is, and I don't want to say think, how LeBron is, he never lets you forget that he's human and that he's willing to share those emotions. I think sometimes we think because athletes, because I can jump high, I can dunk, I can shoot, I can throw, I can tackle, that I'm not human and I don't have the same emotions that a normal person that does not do these things at the elite level does. And he said, no, it bothered me because Kyrie, although we didn't align, I thought Kyrie had enough respect for me in my game. Skip, you don't get to where LeBron has gotten to. You don't have the numbers and the accolades without being clutch. It's impossible to achieve what he's achieved without being clutch at some point.
Here and there?
No, more here, not there. Because, Skip, I just read you the numbers. I mean, if he's not clutch, how does he have more game-winning shots in the playoff than everybody?
Well, he doesn't have that many, and he has played 1,525 total games. That's a lot of games.
Skip. So
he's got 7 in going on 1,600 games.
So let me ask you a question. If LeBron is winning by 30 points, is there an opportunity? If LeBron is losing by 15 points, is there an opportunity to have a game-winning shot? So, Skip, you just can't say, okay, and what happened when he didn't take the shot Okay.
Well, thank you, because countless times he has run from the late game free throw line because the stats scream at you. He's a terrible free throw shooter late in games.
If Kyrie said, you know what, sometimes I didn't pass LeBron the ball because, I was afraid that he was going to take an ill-advised shot and not drive the ball. Okay, I get that. But this wasn't about free throws. Okay, it's been established. LeBron is not a historically great free throw shooter.
Well, he's historically the worst.
Okay, fine, you want to say that. But one thing he's historically the best at, last second game winning shots in playoffs. Nobody is better. What's Jordan's? Jordan got more buzzer beaters. Kobe?
Who would you
Shaq?
rather have the ball in his hands at the end of the game?
Skip?
Jordan, Kobe, or LeBron?
All I
think
know-
it goes 1, 2, 3.
LeBron got more game winning shots than both of them combined.
Well, what are the game-winning shots in playoff games? So you got the shot heard around the world where he took the inbounds pass on Turkoglu.
Did it?
He just had to
Did it?
turn
Did
and
it?
shoot it. He hit.
Okay,
He made it.
he
That-
got Orlando.
That was the first one.
He got
Chicago was the mad Kyrie play.
You do realize, Skip, they were down 2-1, right? Because they could have been down 3-1. So that was a lot of pressure, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And the play was called by David Blatt for, ironically, Kyrie Irving, because David Blatt thought Kyrie was more clutch than LeBron.
So in other words-
and to LeBron's credit, I always tell you, when he gets mad, he is at his best.
So-
he got mad and said, "Hell no."
So he took a play that wasn't designed for him and made something great out of it. Not a whole lot of guys can do that. So in other words, he got off script and made a masterpiece.
Yep.
Okay, what about Indiana? Did he
Okay.
hit a shot against Indiana?
He hit a left-handed layup on George Paul.
That's a
right?
game-winning shot.
Okay, but it's just a left-handed layup
Okay.
at the buzzer.
Is he
Okay,
not saying
okay,
he's
I'll
a game-winning
give you
shot?
that.
Okay,
it's a
what
layup.
about the
He's
other?
6'9".
Okay, what about Toronto?
Okay, first was the Jimmy Butler. That's a regular season
Yeah.
game. So we go Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually, the Pacers was the next one.
Yeah, we had another
And
game.
the Pacers are all down there complaining because LeBron goaltended Oladipo, and he
blocked
grabs the ball and goes down and shoots and makes one at the buzzer.
No, we got time
And
out.
they're like, okay. And then Toronto, he dribbles the length of the floor because Ty Lue did not call a timeout, which was smart. And then he's running to his left and tries to shoot back to his right and accidentally backboards it in. Nobody would try to bank that shot
He did.
because there's no bank left.
Yeah, because his Skip.
the bank is closed.
He knows-
and he
Skip.
accidentally nicked the backboard and it went
He
in.
don't Skip.
I'm
He knows
sorry.
that
Okay,
rate of
I'll
speed.
give you those.
He can't shoot it directly in because he's going too hard.
Of all those, including his regular season buzzer beaters, that's 7 total in 1,525 games. That's 0.005%. Countless times he has pulled up and taken long jump shots and missed them because he didn't want to have to drive it.
So
and shoot
Jordan
the
has never
free
missed a
throws.
shot?
He's missed a bunch of them,
Okay.
but not like this guy. So we don't have time left to go through all the shots that he made. But even in the previous, just the playoffs we just saw, the all-time was LeBron Game 2 against Denver. He just stood there. He froze because he was 1 for 6 from the field in the fourth quarter and 0 for 3 from the three-point line and 0 for 1 from the free throw line. They call the play for LeBron, and he just freezes. Rondo said, I locked eyes with him. He did not move. That's outrageous, and you're giving him a pass for this, and AD took him off the
How about
hook
this?
by running completely across the floor to take the inbounds
I
pass.
wouldn't let him off the hook had you give him as much praise as when he does something bad, you give him criticism.
Okay.
Because you forget about the Washington series. He had two shots that ended up winning the game in one series. And you remember he had Gills on my podcast. Bron tapped him in the chest. He said, now, you know when you miss these, you know that's your, you know what, right? He did that, right? That's what he did. He what, 20 years old, 21 years old, doing that. He did that, right?
All right, but who made the shot of shots to win him a Game 7 ring against Golden State at Oracle? It was Kyrie Irving.
But, Skip, you do realize that LeBron had, the last, 8 points before that point. Those threes. He had 2 threes, the layup.
Okay.
And what got Kyrie is that shot never received the credit as the block. The greatest defensive play in NBA history. Kyrie ain't even got the greatest shot in NBA history.
Because of
That
all
blown to Ray Allen.
That's all the blind witnesses in
Skip.
the media.
No, Skip.
All the apologists.
Skip, you know that's the greatest defensive play.
But
Name a better defensive play.
it was a bicycle built for 2. JR cut him off at the pass and made him pull up. He was going to dunk it, and he had to sort of pull up. Iguodala did and try to lay it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ow! Where'd he come from?
Did you see what JR did?
Hey.
It's a big assist to JR. Look at JR undercut it.
He said, JR, don't
JR got there first.
Skip.
You can't take credit for
You
this.
think he got him a layup.
Look at
He can say,
JR.
I
JR
just won-
stopped him first.
I just won game.
Yeah.
It's just an assist to
What did
JR.
Iggy say? Iggy said, I don't know where he came from. He said, I left him at the other end.
So why would LeBron be so stung about something that shouldn't matter to him? If he's as clutch as you say and everybody else seems to say, then he should just sleep the night away and forget about this guy. Remember, Kyrie left him because Kyrie did not want to play with him anymore.
Okay, that's fine, Skip. That's fine. And guess what? Him and KD are butt heads, and they'll part ways. But let me ask you a question, Skip. There's this thing like disinformation getting out, and it gets repeated, and people start believing it. So you have repeated this, and people have repeated
backed it up repeatedly.
No, Skip.
I'm trying to give you a break without going over all. I got a whole list of shots that he missed.
Skip,
we could go on the rest of the day talking about
Jordan says, I've taken 3,000 shots.
Yep.
I've missed way more than I've made. Okay.
Do you know how many countless times LeBron has passed the ball up? How many times to Kyle Korver? That's one where you could have closed that deal in Game 3 in your house against KD. Yeah. And he's got Iggy one-on-one, and he says, I'm afraid to go to the basket. I don't want to have to shoot the free throws.
Somebody else passes the ball. Michael, Magic, Larry pass the ball. Somebody hits a shot. That's smart. That's a basketball player. LeBron does the exact same thing. The only difference,
Tell me he's the GOAT.
Okay.
Okay. So what about Game 1 at Oracle in 2018? He's got Steph on a switch on him, and he scored 49 points, many of them from outside the lane. He's got the hottest playoff hand I've ever seen him have. Just take one dribble and pull up and shoot it.
Let me ask you a question.
Again, you're down one. You could walk off.
When Jordan passed that ball to Steve Kerr, how many points did he have?
That happened
10?
one time, and he went over to the sideline, and he called the play himself. He said, Stockton will come to me, and when he comes, you're going to make, and it was like a free throw.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. Who's taller, John Stockton or Steph Curry? So you mean to tell me a man that jumped on Melvin Turpin, 6'11".
Okay, but they were going to leave Steve Kerr wide open at the free throw line. It was a free throw.
Kyle Korver was wide open.
Okay, but Kyle Korver has never even tried a shot of that magnitude. What do you want? Do you want the GOAT, says you, to drive the ball and get to the free throw line, or you want Kyle Korver from the deep corner taking a three?
Let me ask you a question.
It's ridiculous.
Prior to him hitting
Take the shot,
prior
LeBron.
to Steve Kerr hitting that shot in that moment, how many other moments has Steve Kerr attempted a three-pointer in the playoffs in that moment?
Well, I don't know. He was really clutch because he was as clutch a free throw shooter as you will ever see.
So you make it seem so Kyle Korver is Ben Wallace shooting the three in the free throw line, right?
But you want LeBron at the free throw line, or do you want Kyle Korver from the deep corner? Because that's just silly. And you're up 2 with 53 seconds left.
Kyle Korver has shot 60% from that corner three. So 6 of 10. He was 60% from that corner three. I'll take Kyle Korver.
Okay, the point is, LeBron James was not born with the clutch gene, whether you like it or not, and this hit him. Why would he care this much? It really pushed the deepest button in him.
For someone not to be born with the clutch gene, to have more clutch shots in the playoffs than Michael Jordan and Kobe, I'm confused. Just help me understand that. For somebody that's so unclutch, how do you get so many?
So the last 2 that he hit were with the game tied. So, again, you just go ahead and take that shot because it doesn't matter. You got high.
See, you moved the goalpost.
No, I didn't. That's, again.
So Jordan, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. None of Jordan, so every shot, game-winning shot that Jordan, Kobe, or any other great player has hit, they were always down. Nobody was ever tied. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
What happened at Utah in Game 6?
No.
What happened at Utah? I want to hear you correctly.
Skip, I want to hear you.
This was the walk-off play of your life.
What?
This is history.
So
Steal the ball from Karl Malone, dribble the length of the court with Scotty over there saying, I'm open.
Hold on. Where was Dennis Rodman on Scott? Where was Dennis Rodman?
Pulling up on Brian Russell and holding the pose.
Skip.
And you're down 1.
Skip, I'm not
You're down 1.
So every shot that Jordan has hit, he was always down. He was never tied. He's never hit a buzzer beater shot with a game tied. Is that what you're telling me?
I've never seen anybody as clutch as Michael Jeffrey Jordan, ever.
Skip, okay, what you see and what the numbers are. See, Skip, sometimes if you got to be careful what your eyes see. Sugar looks like salt to the naked eye.
You need to list all the ones that he missed, starting with, how about Game 6?
against my Spurs in 2013, he pulls up and takes the game-tying to overtime forcing three, right? And LeBricked it.
LeBron almost outscored the Spurs by himself in the fourth quarter.
And he had 2 turnovers in the last minute that allowed them back into the
So
game.
we ain't going to do nothing about that 16 points he scored in the fourth quarter.
LeBron, just let this go. Kyrie let it go.
But clearly Kyrie didn't let it go because he's still talking about it.
He even walked it back. He said, don't try to pit me against LeBron.
It ain't no competition.
LeBron spent
It
2
ain't
months
no
stewing about this.
Skip, stop. First of all, it ain't no competition, Kyrie and LeBron. It never has been. It never will be. I told you the moment Kyrie left, I said LeBron James will, as long as LeBron is in the NBA and Kyrie's in the NBA, LeBron James will be a better player. I told you that then. You didn't want to believe it.
I just hope you get LeBron on your podcast. That's all I can.
I'm
I
gonna get
do
it.
too.
I'm gonna get
And
it.
when you
have
get
done
him
enough.
on the podcast, could
you
I
have
be
earned the
co-host
right
for
to have
today?
LeBron on your podcast. Come on, LeBron.
I mean,
do it for my man.
Guess
At this
who
point.
want to be on the podcast?
Yeah.
Logan Paul.
No.
What?
Seriously?
Logan Paul's going to be on your podcast? Well, you could have at least gotten Jake Paul.
No.
Gonna be a must
I want the guy to
listen.
go get lumped up first.
Shannon, you're
Lord.
getting everyone these days.
I might get Floyd. I might have him on screen up
I'm
there.
impressed. I'm a little worried about this. Okay, well done.
No mercy.
Well, how about this? Tonight, a special edition of the NFL on Fox as Zeke and the Cowboys take on the Ravens. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Also available on NFL Network and streaming on Prime Video. Some Tuesday football action and looking forward to it. But this game looks like really it's a must-win for Zeke and company after shocking wins by New York and Washington the past 2 days. The Cowboys are currently 3-8, the worst record in the NFC, and a loss tonight would drop them a full 2 games behind both their division rivals with 4 games to play. However, going on a run won't be easy as All-Pro offensive lineman Zach Martin just went on IR for at least the next 3 weeks, and he's become really the latest injured Cowboy to join the likes of Dak Prescott and Tyron Smith. Let's welcome in former All-Pro quarterback Antonio Cromartie. Antonio, does Dallas deserve an injury excuse for this season?
No, not at all. Why would you? Why? It's the NFL. It's always next man up. You don't get no excuses. I mean, their record was already bad before even everybody went down. So I'm not giving them an excuse, and nobody else should give them an excuse. I mean, why are we going to give them an excuse? Come on. That don't even make sense to give them an excuse at all. It's football. Injuries happen. Everyone got to step up. We know the job. We know what goes with it. So let's get prepared and go out the right way and go prepare and go win games. They're not doing that. It doesn't matter if they had everybody back. They still wouldn't have won any games.
He talked on Crow. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly?
Yes, I
Says
agree.
Shannon.
I agree with 1,000% with what Crow said. Injuries are a part of the game. But last I checked, now somebody got out here when they signed Andy Dalton. And Crow, he listed off. Andy Dalton, in his first 5 years, he averaged 10 wins a season. He went to the playoffs. He's a 3-time Pro Bowl player.
Fact.
I was like, hold on, wait a minute. But what I've learned to realize, Crow, is that if it's his team or somebody that he's rooting for, injuries should go into it. Because with Tampa, with the left guard, Allen Mapet, he's out. That's Tom Brady's security blanket. He's the best player on the offensive line. Okay.
Fact. Fact.
No.
But what about walking to him? Hold on.
Who was walking to him? You mean give it to him?
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you this. Okay, give it to him. But let me ask you a question. Who's injured on the defense? When y'all gave up 307 yards rushing to the Cleveland Browns, who was injured?
Trevon Diggs.
He was there. Let me ask you a question. When you gave up 240 yards to the Arizona Cardinals, who was injured on the defense? He was there. So, Skip, I'm not going to let you use this. You, as Crow said, you were bad before the injuries started piling up. So stop making excuses. Go ahead and take this 4-12 record back. Get the 3rd or 4th pick of the draft, and I'll see you next year.
4-12? Hold on, you gave them 4-12?
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. They might win one more game, but it ain't going to be
Against
tonight.
who? Who they going to win against?
Yeah, who they got, Skip? You know their schedule. Who they got? What's their schedule?
They're not going to be Washington.
It's my turn.
It's your turn.
Not only do my Cowboys deserve an injury excuse, they have the biggest injury excuses in pro football.
What's that?
They lost an entire offensive line of Pro Bowl players. They lost 2 Pro Bowl tackles, actually 2 all-pro tackles. They lost an all-pro center. And then right on schedule, when I least expected it, they lost Zach Martin in the first series against Washington, our arch rival, on Thanksgiving. Zach Martin, the best offensive guard who had turned to offensive tackle in all of football. You could argue he's the best offensive lineman in football. He went down, and I thought, well, maybe with all these days off before this game at Baltimore today, maybe he'll be back. And he's gone. He's on IR with a calf injury. So 4 Pro Bowl, or you could go all the way to all-pro offensive linemen, are history for my team. My starting quarterback went down in the 5th game of the season. I thought I had a quality backup, and soon he went down and out, and I had to watch Ben DiNucci, a 7th-round rookie, start a game at Philadelphia, an arch rival in the division. And then I had to watch a cast-off named Garrett Gilbert start a home game against undefeated Pittsburgh. Are you kidding me? I even lost a Blake Jarwin that I called Shannon Jarwin in a nod to you, paying you the ultimate compliment, because I thought Blake Jarwin this year could turn into a Pro Bowl tight end.
But
and he was gone in the opener. Gone in the opener.
Dalton Schultz hadn't played bad.
He hadn't played bad, but he's just a guy. He's not Blake Jarwin.
Don't try to bring up Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah,
he almost won. He almost beat Pittsburgh. That was a defense fault. So what you gonna say about that? You can't sit there and say, "Oh, I played a journeyman against Pittsburgh, and y'all had the lead. Y'all was up by almost 17 points."
Yeah,
that's a defense
time out. The Hall of
So
Famer Shannon Sharp has instructed me that Pittsburgh's wheels were already coming off against Dallas. Am I right?
But they didn't come off against you guys. Everybody's wheels about to come off.
They came back and won. Skip, you can't make these excuses. Y'all had winnable games to go out and go win, and you did not do it. It doesn't matter about injury, Skips. You're only as good as your depth. And right, honestly, your depth ain't holding up, the coaching staff ain't holding up, and your defense not holding up. You got the worst.
I want both of you to think about this.
In the NFL.
Okay.
Not only that, but your secondary is trash too, Skip.
Trash?
Yeah, you know it.
Trevon Diggs is not trash. He got hurt. He's gone.
Skip, he got toasted.
Listen, he's a splash.
For a while, he
player.
got toasted, and then he toasted him back. Did he not at Philly? Did he not just turn the tables on give it to him?
Yeah, and they got him back at the end.
You can't give up a touchdown and turn around and go get a pick and say, "Oh, he ain't giving up nothing."
Yeah.
It was a splash play. He make a splash play. He give up a splash play. You can't. That's not a win-win. Stop making excuses. Stop trying to look for a light. There is no light at the end of this tunnel for the season.
Do you realize that I have had to live with, for 2/3 of this season, 2 undrafted tackles, one a rookie and one a second-year player? Undrafted.
Okay.
Terrence Steele and Brandon Knight. One from Indiana, second year, one from Texas Tech, a rookie, have been my bookend tackles. How can you win a football game? They're at Baltimore today against that savage Baltimore defense. You think they're going to be able to block anybody, those 2 undrafted tackles I got? Who's worse off at tackle right now than the Dallas Cowboys? Nobody.
The Eagles.
Okay,
Nobody. Not the Eagles. They don't have 2 undrafted kids.
Skip, but you got a quarterback that understands that defense, right? That's starting, Andy Dalton.
He's
right?
starting.
Correct. So he understands exactly what that defense is going to do. He understands the pressure. So you got a chance to possibly win.
Okay, well, he better be getting rid of the
exactly.
ball in 1.5 seconds or he's going to be on his back.
Well,
Okay.
Hold on, Skip.
Hey, but
What about your defense?
Quarterback.
Well, I didn't like it to start the year. I just thought we could outscore people. I told you that from the start. I didn't like much about it.
But you can't do that.
Except they signed a whole bunch of free agents to beef it up and vet it up a little bit. Get some experience in there. And Jerry at midseason had to cut all 8 of them are gone from the roster because they all rebelled. They all mutinied on the new defensive coordinator, Mike Nolan.
Skip, he signed names and not anyone that would fit. He just like, well, let me get the biggest names that's available and put them out there.
Okay, I thought Gerald McCoy would be pretty good.
But
and guess what?
He got injured.
He tore his quad.
Yeah.
So he's gone. What can I do with that? He was going to be the anchor of my defensive front, and he's out.
But all I'm saying is that I don't want to hear anything about injuries because a lot of teams have had injuries.
You just heard an earful of all my injuries. Nobody's been more injured than this
The Eagles,
season.
easy.
Oh, stop.
Skip, the Eagles have missed Alshon, D-Jack, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, Barrett Brooks, Lane Johnson, and the starting left tackle has been out.
And they've been in and out of the lineup. They haven't been gone for the year.
No. Barrett Brooks is gone. Lane Johnson's been in and out. Skip, they moved Jason Peters from left tackle to right guard to left guard to right tackle.
He's still afloat.
To the bench. He on the bench.
Okay.
He became unplayable.
Yeah, I'll take him. I'll start him at left tackle tonight in ball. Will you give him to me?
Yes.
We'll take him, Eagles. He'll be better than what we have.
He's going to probably go to the Hall of Fame, but he's unplayable right now.
You know what? The injury god said, "It's not meant to be, Dallas. Sorry, waiting till next year." That's what they said.
The good gods said, you guys aren't any good.
So the good gods versus the bad gods.
Y'all aren't any good. Skip, why you can't just accept the Cowboys aren't any good?
Unfortunately, I'm talking to two Cowboy haters at the same time. And neither has been convinced because they are on deaf ears. They have closed their ears to the truth.
Skip, you won 3 games.
Nobody got hurt more than my team.
No, Skip.
Not meant to be.
Skip, think about it. Okay, well, you had...
Come on.
Skip, Crow, you had everybody healthy, and you fell behind by 20 points the second game of the season. You should have lost that one. You had everybody healthy the third game of the season. You fell behind by 15.
And yet you want my quarterback to be paid $42 million a year. Thank you.
What about your defense?
Yeah. Well, what about it? I didn't like it going in.
You got D-Law making a lot of money. You got Jalen Smith making a lot of money. You got a lot of guys making dollars over there. You love Wolf Hunter. Oh, we got Wolf Hunter back.
Well, we got him back. And all of a sudden, we started stopping the run.
Skip, y'all gave up 200 yards to Washington on Thanksgiving. Do you remember that?
Do you realize we should have been tied with Washington going to the fourth quarter, and we lost the fourth quarter 21-0?
Oh, so what about your defense?
Two injured. We lost Zach Martin and Cam Irving. We had Cam Irving, a former first-round pick at left tackle. We lost him in the first series of the game.
Okay, which one of those guys rushed the passer?
Oh. We don't care about defense. We just outscore you. Because we got 3,000-yard receivers.
Okay, I'll score. Okay. You better stop somebody at some point in time.
Oh, Skip, you said you were talking to 2 Cowboy haters. You're actually talking to 3. You know, I'm a part of the crew as well. I'm sorry. I don't know. You're delusional over there. Antonio, we appreciate you. We will check in again very soon.
No mercy.
Start Saturday strong as one of the greatest rivalries headlines Big Noon Saturday when Justin Fields and number 4 Ohio State battle Michigan. It all starts with a special Big Noon kickoff live from the Shoe, 10 a.m. Eastern, followed by Big Noon Saturday on Fox. As always, I am so looking forward to covering the game. But speaking of the game and speaking of Jim Harbaugh, some people are speculating that Harbaugh's time at Michigan is coming to a close. There's a report that at least 5 NFL teams would be interested in the former 49ers coach if he became available. Harbaugh led San Francisco to a Super Bowl appearance and 2 other NFC Championship appearances when he was working the sidelines in the pros. So, Shannon, would you hire Harbaugh to coach your NFL team?
Nah, I'm good. He can't get my team over the hump. Hell, he's supposed to get Michigan over the hump. And Michigan has gotten worse. Has yet to beat Ohio State. You got to beat Ohio State. You got to beat them at least once. You'd like to go, split, go 500. He's 0-5 against Ohio State, 1-4 in bowl games, and he's 2-4 this year. And he lost some really bad games. Skip, his style wears on you. And I don't know if people know this, Skip. This 4 years at Michigan is the longest tenure of Jim Harbaugh's career. And then he stopped. San Diego, Stanford, San Francisco.
Yeah.
4 years. His style grinds you down. It's so fun. A lot of like you said about Coach Gruden. It's a big spark. It's a aura around it, and there's just it just wears you down. I wouldn't hire him on my team because I already know people that's been around him and watch his style. Nah, I'm good. You can't get Michigan over the hump. You can't get my guys over the hump.
Yeah, that style ground those 49ers all the way to 3 straight NFC championship games and 1 Super Bowl that they probably should have won thanks to what was a non-call on Michael Crabtree in the end zone at the end of the game against Baltimore. They lost 34-31.
Yes.
Much of that thanks to Colin Kaepernick because Jim Harbaugh had the guts to change horses, so to speak, in midstream, and he put check down Alex on the bench, as in Alex Smith, the first overall pick in the draft, and a second-round pick from, where was he, Reno?
Nevada.
Colin? Yeah, Nevada, Reno. Yeah, here came Colin Kaepernick. He said, that kid is my guy. I can go places with that kid. And he had the guts and the vision to elevate Colin into the starting lineup, and they took off all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So I give him credit for at least helping put Colin Kaepernick on the map.
I give him credit for that, Skip.
Okay, thank you. So he was sensational at San Diego, sensational at Stanford, and then all-time sensational, 3 straight NFC Championship games, and having to battle with the Legion of Boom at its peak in Seattle, right? At Michigan, his problem has been recruiting a quarterback. He just hasn't had one, right?
Yeah.
So I thought this year, start of the year, I know Jenny agreed, we thought Joe Milton might be something. He might be pretty good, and he's not that great. He's 4 touchdowns to 4 interceptions and has lost his job and regained it and lost it, and they got Cade McNamara, and they're going back and forth. They don't have that quarterback. You got to have Justin Fields. Do you have a Justin Fields?
But, Skip, if you look at them, with the exception of quarterbacks, they get a lot of force denied. They don't get the level of 4-star recruits, let's say Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, but they're probably top 7 as far as 4-star recruits. 4 and 5-star. Have they developed any of them? When the last time they had a first-round draft pick?
They had.
That wasn't Brady Hoke's. His.
What's his name? Gary. Went to the
with the Packers.
Yep.
Come on, Skip. Look at it. Look at St. Nick. Even Dabo.
Well, look at Ohio State. You don't talk about an NFL pipeline.
Okay.
Can those receivers run or
Yes.
not? Did you see Terry McLaurin? He can fly.
But you know, we receive with you.
Yep.
You see what Alabama got? That Devontae
Killen should be in the Heisman race. Like, seriously.
He should be.
Okay, I got it. So he's up against all the above, and he has not been able to overcome it. Would I have him coach my NFL team? You better believe I would, because even if it's 3 years or bust, I'll take those 3 years.
And you think about it. You had the nerve to say you would have old khaki pants over Coach Saban, over St. Nick. You was willing to take khaki pants over St. Nick. You should not apologize.
I love it. As an overall head coach, we were talking about body of work as a head coach. Did you see or happen? It only lasts about 15 minutes. Did you see Coach Saban at Miami and call pro football?
Why? Because they failed Drew Brees on a physical. You said you got to have a quarterback. That's what you told me. You just said if Jim Harbaugh had a quarterback, he'd be good at Michigan.
You want to talk about a flame out in pro football? Coach Saban had the all-time flame out. So you can't, if you go body of work, pro in college, I'll take Jim Harbaugh over Coach Saban.
I'm taking Coach Saban because I'm going to take those 6 national titles. 6 of them.
Oh, boy, look at this.
6 of them.
Okay.
That's got to be worth at least 2 NFL titles, right?
Is that going to outweigh the flame out in pro football?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Skip, the man's won everywhere. He won a national title at LSU. Left those players. Les Miles won a title with his players. Go to the NFL. Alabama was downtrodden. Nobody was talking about it. And the worst year he's ever had at Alabama, he lost 3 games. Let that sink in for just a second. The man's been there for over a decade.
Okay, I got it. Pro football, not so much. Jim Harbaugh in pro football, wow.
Skip.
Hey, do I wish Jerry Jones had hired Jim Harbaugh instead of the guy we got now?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
You talking about we got us a made man.
Harbaugh should have a Super Bowl.
You might have been at Jerry's house drinking with him that night. Oh, they was just they stayed up late. They were swapping stories. He was telling Jerry how I watched every last one of the games and all that.
Yep.
And now you want the man gone.
If I had this guy, I would take him in a heartbeat. Look at what he did. Who goes into a place and suddenly goes to 3 straight NFC championship
But I
games?
tell you what he did do. He did spend a lot of those Michigan boosters' money taking the kids. The kids got a chance to see the Vatican.
They did.
Got a chance to go places they never go. But you know where they haven't been? To Indy, where Jenny gonna go in a couple of weeks. To the Big Ten championship. Now you can spend all that money. Skip, if I'm not mistaken, the Big Ten will pay for you to go to the conference championship.
Well, all I know is Shannon Sharp says I'm good when it comes to pro football, and according to this report, 5 NFL teams are interested in Jim Harbaugh, and Dallas should be one of them.
Hold on. Dallas just hired a head coach
Well, I'm
last
just
year.
shaky. I haven't seen enough. Between him and the new coordinator on defense, I don't know.
You're already ready to move on?
Oh,
Well, if I had
that?
Jim Harbaugh,
It's
if I had
that
a
quick?
choice, I'd take Jim Harbaugh in a heartbeat.
I thought the season
Heartbeat.
started today for the Cowboys,
what he
though.
did.
You
The season started today, right?
We're going to win in
It starts
spite
today.
of him.
It starts tonight, actually, after this one.
No mercy.
Rookie wideout Jerry Jeudy only caught one pass on 4 targets in the Broncos' 22-16 loss to the Chiefs on Sunday night, and he seemed to vent about it on Twitter, which is never a good idea. Posting, quote, "At least I got my conditioning in." Jeudy deleted the tweet, but not before speculation ran wild that he's fed up with Drew Lock, the latest in a string of 9 different QBs Denver has gone with since Peyton Manning retired after Super Bowl 50. So, Shannon, I gotta ask you, is John Elway still in search of a franchise quarterback?
Absolutely. And it's the hardest position to identify and develop in any professional sport.
Yeah, John Elway is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the history of this league.
And he can't seem to find what that can get them to where they need to be. And Drew Lock is not it, Skip. He makes too many mistakes.
Totally agree.
He makes entirely too many mistakes, and people have bought in to them falling behind by 25 points and him throwing a couple of touchdowns late and says, yeah, he has that in him. But, Skip, he's a one-read guy, and if that guy's not open, he's more apt to make a terrible decision. Like, they're going down the field. Their first drive, Skip, they're going right down the field. Run the ball, passing, and then all of a sudden he wants to throw across his body to a guy that's covered by Honey Badger. What?
Bad idea.
It's just, he's not the answer. And until you find that, because they got skill position. I love Jeudy. I love Patrick. I love Hamler. They can run the ball decent. Garrett Bowles has turned into a top tackle, but it's just a quarterback. I don't care. And you look at their defense. Now, they're doing this without Vaughn, who's their best player. They're doing this without Jarrell Casey, who's one of their better players on the defense.
Agreed.
But I don't care how good you are in what other areas. You can't overcome bad quarterback play. That's the one, Skip, I can hide everything else. If I got a weak lineman, I can slide, I can chip. If I got a weak corner, I can roll coverage. I can't hide my quarterback because he takes the snap every single time.
Agreed. I did not like Drew Lock when he was at Missouri coming out in the draft. I like him less now. And they seem to like him less now because there was a crucial 4th down late in that game, you recall, when they decided to punt the ball back to Patrick Mahomes, which is not a great idea.
Especially at 50. I think he was up plus 50.
Yeah. And you're just telling me I don't trust him to get us, I think it was 4th and 3.
Yes.
Maybe? Yeah. Okay. I don't trust him to get 3 yards. My first thought at the end of that game, and I tweeted about this, you can laugh if you want, but I believe Tim Tebow would have won that game in his prime back in 2011. That was a silver platter Tim Tebow kind of game where they just say, go, do it. Run that read option. Just whatever you have to do. Get the 3 yards. Let's go score. Let's beat these guys. That's what he kept doing through 2011. John did not love Tim Tebow. He inherited Tim Tebow, obviously, and he said, let's get this experiment over with. When they went to Miami for an early season game, they're 1-4, and Tebow won the game in overtime. And here they went, and they ended up winning the division, beating Ben Roethlisberger in a home playoff game, and you know the rest of the story. Then guess who knocked on John's door? Peyton Manning, who had been pushed out the back door in Indianapolis. He comes to Elway. He's like, hey, can I play? Yeah, you can play for us, sure. Was Peyton a better choice than Tim Tebow? Yes, as big a Tebow fan as I was. Peyton Manning, you got a shot at him? And I know they said for a while he couldn't even throw the ball across the room, you know, like with his
by
neck
10
injury.
yards.
Yeah, but he bounced back, and he should have won 2 MVPs, I thought, and he won you a Super Bowl. You know, the rest of the story. It put John Elway on the map that he had as a GM. Obviously.
But a lot of times what happens, Skip, is that when you get quarterbacks like a John Elway, like a Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, is that they never miss, and you don't really think about getting guys because Russell Wilson was also in that draft. And so you got Peyton in free agency. You could have, but you settled for Brock Osweiler.
Yep.
And you settle for a Paxton Lynch. And you try to get all these guys, Skip, and until you solve that position, nothing else matters. Look at Buffalo. Buffalo had defenses, until they settled on Josh Allen. You look at Cleveland, until you get a quarterback, I don't care what other positions you have and how great they are. Without that one, you're not winning in the NFL.
Remember, Buffalo drafted E.J. Manuel out of Florida State. Didn't work.
Nope. He lasted, what, a year? Maybe 2?
Okay.
Until you get that position. And Skip, the way the rules are set up, and everybody plays in space, Drew Lock is last in completion percentage at 55%. Do you know how bad you got to be dead last in completion percentage?
I got it. So John Elway is turning into the Michael Jordan of NFL GMs, because you would think Michael could pick players, but he can't pick players in Charlotte.
Well, John is picking players. He just can't pick that player.
But it's the position he should know the best, and he just can't find one. And he's evaluating them, and he says, oh, I think Paxton Lynch can play. No, he can't play.
No. Okay. No, he couldn't. Brock Osweiler. Yeah. Skip, you should have known. Anytime a quarterback gets 6'7", let it go. Look at every quarterback that's been 6'7". Go back and look it up, and look at it, check his resume.
Yep.
Dan McGuire, Mark McGuire's brother, Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler. The taller, the sorrier. So, but Drew Lock ain't it.
Nope. Agreed.
No mercy.
Mike Tyson's return to boxing against Roy Jones Jr. generated more than $80 million in revenue. Not bad for an exhibition fight between two 50-year-olds. The match got 1.6 million pay-per-view buys, making it one of the top 10 most popular combat sport events of all time. I had to keep reading that. I couldn't believe it. Shannon, would you pay to watch Tyson fight again?
Man, Skip, I'm good. Look, the reason why this worked, you're talking about Mike Tyson. Nothing else needs to be said. You're talking about Roy Jones. Nothing else needs to be said. Skip, are we really going to pay to see Mike Tyson fight Evander Holyfield or Buster Douglas? No, man, come on, Mike. But I know why. But Skip, I can see why Holyfield and Buster Douglas. Like, these are numbers that Mayweather did in his prime.
Yep.
These are numbers that guys did in their prime. And you're talking about two 50-year-olds generating these kinds of numbers. So I get why they would want to fight. But no, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm not good. I'm not surprised. I bought this, I loved it, and I would buy it again at double the price if Mike Tyson would fight a young contender. I know he's 54. He still can punch. He's in decent shape. He looked a lot like Mike Tyson to me.
The next pay-per-view fight I'm buying is on May 20th. I'm watching Money Mayweather and Logan Paul. That's what I'm
only
buy.
Because you're having Logan Paul on your podcast.
So I'm gonna buy that. Yeah. I got to see this.
Oh, are you?
Because I need to put
I will
it
not
work.
buy that.
Why?
Hey, Mike Tyson is still a lightning rod draw. You know it, and I know it.
Skip,
you would watch him fight anybody credible.
I'm good. Skip, I don't want to watch. Skip, I've seen him fight Holyfield twice. I've seen him fight Buster Douglas 30 years ago. I'm good.
He could have knocked out Roy Jones in the first round because Roy Jones was not Roy Jones.
Roy said, look, I had Roy on my podcast. He said, Sharp, I was not gonna let Mike Tyson uppercut my mama child. I was not gonna let Mike Tyson knock my mama child out.
I don't think he had any say on it.
Well, he kept holding. Why do you think he was holding it?
All the good guests, Shannon. Impressive. Oh, remember, guys, the Cowboys season, it starts
over
today.
Now.
So we will have reaction to all things Cowboys tomorrow. Enjoy that game on Fox.